Yes, welcome back to Football Heritage TV. Sorry, there's been no content today. It's been a very, very busy day for me. So we're getting one in now. And of course, we're going to be talking about Son. And just so you lot know, in the background, we've just been having our own fiery debate about Son, which we will bring to the stream in a minute. Listen, the breaking news today has been what I think we all knew was coming, what some people can't quite get over. A lot of people very emotional about this. It's caused a lot of arguments. I don't know why. 33-year-old leaves football club. Don't know what the problem is. But listen, Son has said that it is time to go after 10 seasons at the football club. So Tottenham Hotspur will be having a new captain, and we'll be talking about whether or not Son is going to be replaced or whether or not we've already bought the replacement. Good evening to Danny. Good evening to Ben, Top Doc. Good evening to Luke, Spotlight on Spurs, Chris, CC, myself, of course, and James Flower. We couldn't have a show about Son without having James Flower. It just wouldn't quite be right, would it? It would be really rude of me. Feel free to shut that. Thank you. Guys, girls, just before we go live, I just wanted to a couple of comments that I saw before the show started that I thought was absolutely hilarious. Rinbine has said, Football Heritage will be happy. Why? I like this. He asks the question and then answers it as well. Why? Football Heritage prioritizes league position over trophies. He's a textbook Spursy. I like this. This was good. He should be the first fan kicked out of Spurs. Fair enough. That wasn't enough. He then came in and said, if Football Heritage stays a Spurs fan, the club will never have a legend. I've got no idea what it meant, but I thought it was funny. And then Mapping. He's very upset, is Mapping. He's very upset that Son's name is in the title of the show. Said, you all deliberately wanted him gone. You have slagged him off for almost 3 years. That's not true. And despite having produced the highest output amongst any players at Spurs, and now you're here fake sympathising to him. Nope, you won't be getting any fake sympathising or any sympathising. Oh, no, multi-millionaire goes to another football club and gets another multi-million-pound contract. No sympathy in any way, shape or form. It's a great move.
I think that was supposed to say Flower. I think that's you, Flower, deliberately wanted him gone. I think that's what that is.
Oh. Well, don't worry. Mappin's already had a go at James Flower. I've just seen that in the chat as well. He said, Flower, another hypocrite on the panel. Oh, James, you know you've made it when they come for you, mate. You know you've made it. Guys, Son is leaving. Oh, my gosh. I feel like someone died. Some of the posts I've seen online today, honestly, it feels like someone's died. How will we cope? This is the biggest legend we've had in the Premier League, according to some. Irreplaceable. Let me start with Luke. Luke, I'll start with you, mate. It's all gone a bit crazy, isn't it? We can't even sell a player without the whole world losing its mind.
This is Spurs as a fan base. This is what we do. It's either way over exaggerate or we way under exaggerate. That's what we seem to do all the time. So
we spoke about this last night, didn't we, Luke?
Literally had exactly the same conversation last night. It was just like this is, and this was before the news obviously broke. So yeah, I mean it's a real strange one. Listen, it is a bit of a sad. He's been here so long. It is a bit of a sad occasion, but. We're not losing a player in his peak at 26, 27. We're losing a player who's 33. So there has to be a hint of you need to be a little bit understanding of the situation. So, and what better way to go? I've been saying this from the very start. I think he can offer you something off the bench. I think he's good to have around the place. But when is he ever going to be able to bail out other than winning a trophy, being the captain, and then going on to pastures new? So yeah, I can see it, I can understand it, but some of it does seem like a family member's passed away or something. It's been a bit crazy, some of the stuff online.
Ben, Sonny leaving, it's not a shock, is it? Like, this shouldn't, everyone's talking as though they didn't see it coming. I feel like this has been coming for a long time, hasn't it?
It's that's a bit right. Before I say what I've got to say, let's have it known. The last 2 years, right? He's not been good. We've all seen it. We all know it. So before I go on with my little rant, just let be aware that's how I feel about him. He needed to go. Bless his heart. So the conversation we've all just had, each and every one of you, look at me in the eyes. You're all shameless. He's a world-class player. He's a club legend. And you know what? He's one of the only footballers on planet Earth that everybody likes, okay? And it does feel like a family member's died because he's part of our little Spurs family, all right? So, look, listen, as far as I'm concerned, right, I'm heartbroken. I nearly cried this morning when I saw that post. I'm going to be completely honest, all right? I don't give a shit what any of you say. I got choked up a little bit. We all knew it was coming. But when I saw the words, I was a little bit, all I'm saying is this. I am heartbroken, and everyone who says, it feels like they've lost a family member, they've got every damn right to say that. So that's, yeah. Well, when you guys do your opinions, I'd like to join back in at the end if that's okay.
Listen, I mean, the footballer leaves football club after a decade. Shock, horror. Danny, bring some order back after your mate Ben has just brought out the waffles. Bring back some order to this conversation, please. You're on mute.
It's like what I say. This is a very emotional fan base, a very divided fan base. Like, spoke about it last night on the show. But look, when it comes down to Son, fair play to him. One thing you can't take away from him, he gave us his whole. He gave us everything. He gave us everything he had. And I reckon if he'd have pushed for a leave, there'd have been plenty of places he could have gone to. Could have gone to anywhere? Not quite. But there's plenty that would have quite happily took him up. He's been a great player for us. And at times, he's had world-class moments. But for me, never was a world-class player. Stepped down from that. Never... He just weren't on that level as what some people think he was. Do I think I've seen a better finisher on both feet? I don't think I have. He was just as good on his left as on his right. There's a lot of positives about him. There's other sides of it where he was patchy at times and everything. But at the end of the day, the fella gave us everything he's got. He's had a good career at Spurs. I've been one saying for a while, we should have let him go 2 years ago because you need to be more ruthless in football. Mud sticks to your back, but I think he's actually had a chance, what not many players get. Hugo Lloris left our club with, he was a good footballer, great player, but we should have sold him 3 years earlier. Son's had the chance now where people like me been saying this, James been saying it, and I can vouch for a couple of others. I think he actually had the chance to get what most players don't, and that's actually get the mud off of his back and be able to leave in the fact that a majority of Spurs fans are going to sit here and say, instead of Son was great for us, but we should have sold him 2 years earlier. I think he's going to be more remembered for Son was great for us and he left at the right point after winning a cup. And I don't think many players get that chance. Some are going to be very emotional over this. Some ain't going to be so emotional over it. I mean, it needed to happen. I'm happy that he made the decision to do it, not got pushed out by the club. Because one thing you can't take away from the player, he gave us everything. And like, Mia and Nelly said on my show this morning, Kane might have been with us with his head, but you can say Son was with us with his heart and soul. And you can't take that away from the man. But times go on. No one's a robot. It was time for him to go.
Well, look, Chris, let me come to you. Right time to go? A year too late? A year too early? Where are you at with Son?
I think I need to do a similar thing and preface what everything else I'm going to say later in the debate with some undisputable facts at the start, which is...
This is why I like James. He don't do this. He just says exactly what he thinks. He's just like, nah, had to go, rubbish.
Yeah, because what's going to happen here? We're going to get into a debate, and some of us are going to have different views, and then the people who aren't blowing smoke up Son's ass are going to be like, "Oh, you think he's crap?" No, we don't think he's crap, right? He's been a brilliant player for us. He's been here for 10 years, performed at a very high level throughout, barring maybe the last 18 months, couple of years. I've been one over the last season or so that's defended him a little bit because I've been reluctant to draw too many conclusions about any player under Ange, to be honest. I think Frank would get more out of him this season if he stayed than we saw last year. So look, what great guy, brilliant for the club. What an ambassador. By all accounts, don't know him personally, but by all accounts, lovely fella. Absolutely no ill will towards him whatsoever. I hope he goes on and smashes it wherever he's going. That said,
here we go. This is what we came for.
There's a few things that, my God, are pressing my buttons today. One of them is build a statue for him. Absolutely bloody not a chance. Like, we don't have statues of anyone, right? So if we're going to start down the statue line, Son is not even in the top 10 as far as I'm concerned. So
for sure.
That one winds me up. I'm with Dan. I don't think he's world class. I don't think I'm going to be a bit. I can live with this as a debate a bit more. I wouldn't even have him as a legend. I think when you say who are the legends of the club, you should reel off 5 or 6 names, not 20 or 30. I don't think he gets into that personally. I can live with that as a debate a bit more. But the other one, and then I'm sure we'll get into it, and I'll hand over to James to do his bit. The other one that's really winding me up is he's a legend because he's lifted the Europa League. He did next to bloody nothing to help us win that Europa League. I think he scored in Hoffenheim, if I remember. But he was crap last season. I was in Bilbao, and when he came on, I thought it was absolutely dreadful. And what I just won't stand by and listen to, especially from someone who has the same view as me on Ange, where we're sort of saying about Ange, look, it was great we won the Europa, but how much of an achievement was it? The same has got to apply to Son. The fact that he was captain is a happy coincidence for him because he did absolutely bugger all in the final. In fact, trying to praise him a little bit more, Son did way, way more in our Champions League run in 2019. Yeah. That was of much more value than what he contributed to our Europa League win. So don't come at me with any crap about he's a legend because he was a captain when we won something. That is just coincidence as far as I'm concerned. Loads of reasons why he's brilliant for us. That is not one. So look, right time for him to go. I wouldn't have been against him going before, but goes with the absolute best wishes. But we just need to rein in some of our fan base who lose their minds on every single topic. And this is the one for tonight. So I am up for a debate, guys. Let's get on with it.
Good. James, just before I come to you, I thought this was funny that Jimmy feels that any name that Chris could reel off as a legend, he'll debunk. I mean, listen, I'll just put in Hoddle, Perryman, Jimmy Greaves. Straight away, there's no way, Jimmy, you can debunk any of them as legends.
Gaza.
Anyway, James, that was just, I could have gone on, but James, right time for Son to go? Too late? What are you saying, mate?
I think you lot are all absolutely shameless, mate. He should have stayed here for another 3 years. He absolute legend for me. No, I never wanted him gone. No, listen, for me, I echo a lot of what people said. The geezer's a legend for me. He is a legend. He gave us 10 years, banging in goals left, right, and centre in massive moments, massive games. Gave us moments that you kind of look back on now and think, oh yeah, unreal. So for me, there's not a question. He's a legend of the football club. He's done so much for the football club. Some of the goals, Arsenal. Yeah, for me, there's no debate. There's no debating how good he was. I mean, people will say world class. For me, world class is Messi, Gascoigne, Gareth Bale. That's world class for me. I don't have tiers of world class, like bottom tier world class, middle tier world class, top tier world class is the elite of the elite footballers. For me, he wasn't quite there. But on the other hand, you could say he did it at Tottenham. Not many of these players would have the bottle to come and do it at Tottenham and produce the numbers that he did produce. And like I've said the whole way through, it was just his time to go. I saw 2 years ago, people said his numbers were really good. And they were good. But I noticed the movement slowed down. I noticed he wasn't beating his men anymore. Then he moved into centre forward and he got 50, 60 chances a season. He put away 15, 20. And you're like, okay, well, that's different. Son's not normally like that. Son's the most overachiever in the Premier League, or one of the, if I'm not wrong, isn't he, like his expected goals? He's got the highest percentage of expected goals to shots in Premier League history. It's something like that. So, listen, the geezer was mustard when it comes to putting the ball in the back of the net. Mm. But there is a point where big football clubs, and the one name I've always used because he's one of my favourite players I've seen is Riyad Mahrez. There comes a point where your best players leave and you have to then rebuild and go again. I'm happy for him to get the Europa League. He deserves it. All right, he wasn't great this season, but my God, like we said, in the Champions League run, he's done so much. In the league, he's done so much. First goal in a new stadium. Like for me, he's an absolute legend. But if football was based on sympathy and feelings, you would be relegated. Because I'd still have Gascoigne here, I'd have Ginola here, I'd have Defoe up front. Are we saying we keep those because they're our favourite players? No, there comes a time and a point where you go, look, the football club needs to keep moving forward. Unfortunately, mate, you're not quite at that point. And I believe Frank had that conversation with him and he went, okay, I need to go look for first team football. And there's no coincidence that he's going from the Premier League to the MLS.
Yeah, listen, it's a tough one. I feel like this is one of those conversations where whatever you say, unless it's all glowing and kissing his backside, everyone's just going to be really upset. For me, look, I agree a lot of what you just said there, James. A lot of it, not all of it. I agree with a lot of what you said. I don't ever think he's been this brilliant goal scorer that everyone says he is. His numbers tell me he's not been a brilliant goal scorer. He's a good goal scorer. But he's given, Danny was right, he's given absolutely everything to this club for 10 years. I don't think anyone can doubt that. I also agree that the numbers have looked good the last 2 years, but the performances, the wow factor's gone, the scare factor, the fear factor for defenders has gone. And I think this is the perfect opportunity. I would have done it before, but now I think this is perfect. You've got a new manager. This is a new era. Let the new manager build something different. And that's where I am with it. Listen, I know we're probably going to have a lot of debates. Is going to get heated about the world-class thing. We'll get there in a minute. But I suppose it depends what you want to judge this on. Are we going to judge his goals based on 10 whole years versus players who have been in the Premier League for 3 years but banged in more goals in those 3 years, if that makes sense? I think it's each person's individual metric is going to be what balances here, right? And for me, I'll start off. We'll have this conversation. Let's go right from the bat. And we'll talk about LA and everything in a minute, but let's go right off the bat. Is Son world class?
No, he wasn't. I mean, it depends. I mean, it's stupid because tiers for me are very good player, world class, crap. Do you know what I mean? Like world class. If you put Son, what is Messi? Like I'll ask you that, Ben. If Son's world class, what's Messi?
Yeah.
I agree.
God tier. Get Messi and Ronaldo are above a level of world class.
So would you have Son in the level below those two? I wouldn't.
Look, Messi, you can't compare any player to Ronaldo or Messi. You just can't. There's been no one for years and years anywhere close to him. So I wouldn't even consider Messi and Ronaldo world class.
I'll give you a different name then.
Oh, okay. So what about Ronaldinho and players like that then? Ronaldinho, Adriano, people like that.
But this is a different time period. You
And
know,
the
so
style-
You're moving the goal from left to right, left to right, left to right.
Look,
What
these
are
players in their time were that step above.
Can I ask one question though? If he's world class and in his prime he was that good, how come he never turned up in any semis or finals for us?
Right, look, I'll tell you what. Should I just go with my opinion on
my
the world
argument with
class
Kane as well.
I know what you're saying, Dan, but so far we've asked you 2 or 3 questions and you're saying he's world class and you've answered none of them.
You haven't asked me nothing.
Not Dan. Sorry, Ben. Sorry, man. you haven't answered any of them. You've gone. Well, all right. First of all, can I know your tier system? Because you got Messi, Ronaldo in the top tier, Ronaldinho in the tier below, Son in the tier below that.
No. Look, anything below Messi and Ronaldo is world class for me. Yeah, because again, I put Messi and Ronaldo in a completely different bracket, different hemisphere. But they were truly unbelievable players, and you just can't compare to these. I'd put Son in the same bracket. Yes, they think right. Yeah, I would put Son in the same bracket as your Hazards. Yeah.
No.
Son
and Hazard.
Two different players.
Let's have it right. Let's have it right, okay? And this is just my opinion. Son, on his day, in his prime gets into any team on the planet,
No.
bar maybe two. The
No.
entire planet. His numbers in the Premier League have been phenomenal, and not
No, but they've not
terribly
been
far.
phenomenal, Ben. But they've
But
not.
have.
This
Their
isn't
overall numbers
true.
have.
This
Mate,
isn't
he's
true.
one of the best wingers in the Premier League history.
But because he's done 10 years, his numbers are not phenomenal. Like the words that we're throwing out, I feel like we're talking about Messi. I feel like these words like phenomenal, and his numbers aren't phenomenal in any way, shape, or form. If his numbers are phenomenal, what are Mo Salah's? If his are phenomenal, what are Mo Salah's?
Of course, Mo Salah's. I mean, they're not stratosphere far away from Son at all.
They are.
I mean,
Yes, they are, Ben. Don't make me start. I showed you this before. Don't make me bring them up on screen. He's miles away. Salah is miles away. His numbers.
Regardless, Son is one of the best wingers in Premier League history, and his numbers back that up.
Yeah, but you've changed the word in there, though. You've changed that. You said he's one of the
20
best.
years, wingers are a different thing anyway.
I'd agree with you. In Premier League history, what you said there, you changed your statement. In Premier League history, he is one of the best left wingers in the Premier League history. I agree with that. That I agree with. But to say he's world class and putting him in world class doesn't mean he's one of. It means he is the best. He is in that bracket of the kings of the kings.
This is the argument I have with a lot of people. Yeah, I think just people need to see this from a slightly different perspective as such. Yeah, for me, football over 20 years has not far off hit the floor compared to it was 20 years ago. Yeah, when people say to me world class these days, I turn around and look at players and I say no.
Agreed.
In this day and age, maybe you can call them world class. Yeah, and you can, but for me, the levels have hit the fucking floor compared to what it was. Son was never a winger for me. He was an inside forward. It's like when we talk about world-class strikers and stuff like that. The example I'll give is Harry Kane. This day and age, world-class striker, one of the best out there. But if you want to put him overall as a world-class striker 20 years ago, does he actually match up with like Romero, Muller, Ronaldo? Does he match up with Greaves? Does he match up with Batistuta, Lewandowski? I think it's a good thing that people can argue about. But players these days, I think world class is used so easily. And probably a problem of mine. Hang on a sec, Ben. And probably a problem of mine is that I struggle calling any player world class these days because I do compare it too much to what it was 20 years ago. Because 20 years ago, 9 out of 10 players that you call world class now wouldn't even lace the bloody boots of some of the players back then. I mean, even if you look at Salah, Salah is a world class modern day player, Okay, he's coming down off the ranks in that, but he has been. But for me, Salah doesn't touch Figo's skill. But then two different players. Figo for me was a world class player. But you take Salah back 20 years ago, would Salah have been world class then? I don't think so. Some might think he does.
Let me ask you this,
personal opinion. I don't think he would. But these days, world class is a much lower level than it was.
Let me ask you this then, Dan. I mean, for me as well, I think it has to go beyond goals, right? I think unless your goal record is that good, like when people talk about, Haaland isn't a great footballer, but his goals are so phenomenal, Erling Haaland, that you go world class. You can't not, because his goals are that good. If I was going to ask you, Dan, everyone on this panel, what do you reckon he averages goals per season in the Premier League for 10 years?
I would say Son. I would say his average 15. Is what? If I'm
16,
going to rate it between 16, everything, I'd say about what? 12, 13, if you want to put it all together.
12, 13, 14. Ben?
Is that just in the league or in cups overall?
Just in the league.
Just in the league. I'd say about 13, 14.
13, 14. Ben?
I'd go 14, 15. Maybe
14, 15. Luke?
Yeah, about the same.
James?
I'd say 16. But if this guy's world class and you think he scored 13, 14 goals a season.
Right. Okay.
So that's hard thing to do in the Premier League.
Hang on. Let me land this, right? Chris?
Yeah, I can see where this is going, but my guess would have been 14, 15. Yeah.
Right. He averages 12.7 goals a season in the Premier League. right? So, Ben, I'm afraid when you sit there and go, this man's goal scoring record is phenomenal, I'm sorry, that's not phenomenal. That's good. It's good, right? For a winger, 12 goals a season, 12.7 goals a year in the Premier League. Yeah, it's good. But I'm not, if we're classing that as phenomenal, I think football's gone. And the difference is some of these other players, like Dan uses Figo. Figo, I didn't need to look at goals or assists to know that Figo is
Who
just
Son
world-class.
statistically beats, by the way, for goals
No,
and assists.
but again, listen to what
Different
Ben,
players.
You've not listened to what I just
Numbers
said.
don't lie. No, I was. Sorry,
Yep.
go on.
They do.
But this is the thing. When you're saying numbers don't lie,
Brennan
right?
Johnson.
Figo, I didn't need to watch. I didn't need to look at his stats for someone to go, was Figo world class? Figo was world class, like ridiculous footballer. Sonny, for me, always people go to his numbers, but numbers can be broken down. I think he's got a good goal scoring record, right? But notice the emphasis on good. I don't think that's not phenomenal. That's not brilliant. 12.7 goals a season that's okay, right? That's
But-
okay. That
so
means
longevity. Longevity is your
sometimes-
problem.
Hang on.
Longevity is your problem.
Longevity is my problem.
Yeah. So you're saying because he's done this over a longer period than most, which is a very difficult thing to do in itself, you're telling me that's the issue. So obviously you're saying there's been players that have come in that have put up similar numbers in a short amount of time. So what are you trying to say? Because he's done this over a longer stretch, that's not necessarily as significant?
No. You've gone completely the wrong end of the spectrum with this debate. You said his goal scoring is phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
I've broken it down that his goal scoring is less than 1 in 3, or
Right.
is 1 in 3 in the Premier League. That's not phenomenal, is it? Phenomenal
It
is
was
what
always
most
very
fellas do.
patchy.
But couldn't it be? Couldn't that be like not manipulated? But like his first season, he was rubbish. Last season, he was rubbish. So that brings the average down. I mean, and one
Okay,
of
so
the
let's
other
have a
things is he never took pens or free kicks. That could bring his numbers down. He compared to the likes of Salah's and so on. Not again. Look, I'm with you guys. I don't think he's world class, but he was never the top dog either. So
I think
pens,
that's a
free
big thing.
kicks.
He was
Yeah.
never, he was
James,
never the
can I
main
answer your
man.
question? You said to
So
me
why
earlier.
wasn't he
about-
the top dog?
Because Harry Kane is the elite
was the
level
academy
finisher.
guy.
Like,
Because Harry Kane, who was world class and did have ridiculous numbers, was the better footballer, right? That for me.
But he was also the academy guy. That's another part of it as well. He was the
No, that
academy
doesn't
guy.
come
so
into it, in my
It's got
opinion.
nothing to do with it. What's that got to do with anything?
From a fan base and everything else, I think that does play a part. I think it 100%
I think
plays a part.
most of the fan base have turned now. They're all Kane's a traitor and.
Oh yeah,
and
now, now, but
No.
not then. Not then when he was here.
So,
Kane
you know,
was what he was.
you all mentioned about that tier list that you can't figure out my tier list. Can I ask you something? And this is a dead serious question. Who is better? And please, I want to lead on from this. Who's better, Gareth Bale or Eden Hazard, in terms of being world class? Who's the better player? Adam?
For me personally,
Bale.
Gareth Bale.
Beautiful,
Bale.
beautiful. Does that make Hazard any less of a world class player?
I wouldn't put Hazard in world class.
No, nor would I.
No, I think
wouldn't
he's the
put
next
Hazard-
level down.
I think also
Uh,
what you need to realize is that some players that are elite footballers who have
yeah.
world class moments, but that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that they're world class. Do you know what I
Son
mean?
was
Like,
a world-class
sometimes you watch
finisher.
Son. Yeah, he was unbelievable. His finishing
But
was ridiculous.
he
You
was not a
wouldn't put Hazard
world-class
as
player, and
world-class.
Hazard was too patchy to be world-class for me.
I agree with that.
I mean,
Same.
even calling him the next level below that is pushing it for me. Now, he had the capability, but Hazard seemed to have it one good season, one bad season, one good season, one bad season, one good and a half season, one half. He was very inconsistent to even be to the next level, but he had the capability more than enough there. But he was definitely one of the patchier ones on the seasons he'd have. He was very on and off with his seasons.
Yeah,
But
I
the skill
agree
he
with
had-
you.
Do you understand the point
the
I'm trying
skill
to
he
make?
had, he was up there with it. But he was.
I agree
If
with
we're
Dan.
going by patchy players, then Hazard
Dan-
was as patchy as they
But
come.
Dan, when you watch Hazard, yeah, if we remove numbers for 1 second from any debate, just for 1 second, you watched Hazard and just went, "Wow!" Like,
Yeah,
Oh, he had it. I said that.
right?
But
no,
for
I
a
know.
season,
But
he'd go missing.
but this is my point. As a footballer, Eden Hazard was ridiculous. but you're right
Mhm.
in terms of listen. My in-laws, my wife's family are all Chelsea season ticket holders, and they all said when you got Hazard on his day, Hazard was just unplayable. We saw that. He did. I mean, how many games were he ripped up?
I agree.
But he said there were too many. There were too many games and months at a time where Hazard wasn't on it. The difference for me with all of these players, and this is why when we put Bale in there, now Bale, I don't think Bale, anyone can turn around and go, he never did it. I mean, this guy did it everywhere. Like this guy did it for Wales.
Champions League final.
This guy carried Wales. This guy went to the biggest of games with Real Madrid where Ronaldo didn't do anything and Gareth Bale was popping up and scoring worldies in finals. Like he was scoring worldies. We're not talking about tap-ins. We're talking about overhead kicks from 20 yards.
The way you finished Liverpool.
The length of the pitch, right? Gareth Bale, that's if we're going to talk about world class, that's the level, surely. Without going to Messi and Ronaldo, that's got to be the level. Son's not a patch on Bale, is he? Let's be brutal.
I agree with what you're saying. I would say if you're going to get both of them on their absolute peak, I think I would rather watch Eden Hazard. You know, like it's a hard thing to say.
Yeah,
Eden Hazard was one of those players that when he's on fire, you just go, wow, come and watch this guy. Like you have to come and watch it. Sit down and watch this guy. But then he, like what Dan said, he would just go missing for ages. And then you'd turn up again. You're like, wow, if only he could do this again. So for me, Hazard's not world class because he didn't do it continuously.
Again, it goes down to what I was saying is that
James.
Elite players do world-class moments.
Yeah, but Hazard didn't just go missing. For me, and I said it for ages, Son was a very patchy player, scorer. In the aspect, in 6 games, he'd score 7 goals. And then for 6 games, he wouldn't score. And then in another 6 games, he'd score 2, not score, and score another 2. Hazard, for me, the reason I even struggle to put him into the next level below world class, it's not because of what he was capable of. He was as capable as anybody out there. But he didn't just go missing for patches. He went missing for seasons. And he done that about 3 times. Went missing for an actual season. Not just a couple of months here and there or a couple of games. He actually went missing for seasons. So I even struggled to put him on to that next bit. But on capability-wise, on his day, he was as good as anybody.
So like Romero, basically, in your opinion.
Yeah.
But do you see the point I'm trying to argue, though? There are levels.
No.
Well, okay, fine. Well, okay, Figo and Bale then. How about that? Who's better out of Figo and Bale? Because you all consider Figo world class and you all consider Bale world class.
Yeah, but that's a debate, though, isn't it? That's not a who is better. That's a debate in Gareth Bale, pace, power, strength, finishing. Figo, technique, vision, passing, dribbling ability. Like you can compare and have a debate on what's what. It's like saying Iniesta or Xavi. How do you compare those? How do you?
You can ask a question. And this is the thing I'll say about Hazard, right? By the way, everyone in the chat, stop losing your minds. We're just 6 blokes having a chat about footballers, right? This is just relax. Like, I know everyone's going mad. It's crazy. We're not slagging anyone off. We're talking about levels of footballers. Eden Hazard, for me, top footballer, right? Yeah. At Chelsea, if you're asking me, was he world class? Yeah. Clearly, Real Madrid thought so because they paid a ridiculous fee to take him to Real Madrid, right? I believe they paid over 100 million and he had 1 year left on his contract. Like it was something ridiculous, right? But when he went to Real Madrid, that's the level you go to and go on, shine.
But people just judge him at Chelsea, like the fella I've got in the chat saying I can't back it up. Chelsea, he went missing for a season, but at Real Madrid, he totally went missing, and it weren't just down to bloody injury.
Oh, he did have a rotten injury record at Real Madrid.
Listen, by the way, I think Hazard's my type of footballer. Yeah, when I go to football, I want to watch that guy get the ball. And anyone can be quick and run. I want to watch that guy. I want to watch the guy who manipulates the football, entices players, nicks it. I want to watch that guy. That's my type of player.
But that's also entertainment as well, isn't it? Entertainment comes into part of it. Like Ronaldinho is the most entertaining footballer I've ever watched. But for me, he's not the best I've ever watched in terms of Messi, Ronaldo, even R9 are up there. Whereas Ronaldinho was the best to watch. What he done with a ball was just ridiculous.
Absolutely. Yeah,
But
I think I agree so much with that. That is like what you're saying. But I think that's the debate where you say he's world class or he's a world class footballer. Do you know what I mean? I think there's the elite levels of two. For me, Ronaldinho. If anybody doesn't like football, go watch a video of that guy, and it just makes it look easy.
Most
you know what I mean?
skillful player I've ever seen.
Fun
It's just
fact.
ridiculous.
I got a fun fact for you on Ronaldinho. He was born on exactly the same day as me, and I often think who's had it better. And but hey, I've not been to prison yet, so you know.
I reckon you're world class as well, though. I reckon you're world class
in my
as well,
own way.
Chris.
In my own way. Yeah.
But you've got better teeth as well, mate. To be fair,
I've always liked the world class conversations because listen, something Danny said earlier. I 100% agree with him, and I'll give it a box office. Don't get used to it, Dan. But something he said, 100% agree with is I don't think there's many world class players at all that play right now. I genuinely don't look across world football and go, wow. Back in the 90s and the noughties, there was just top footballers everywhere. Now it's all become very functional. Now it's become all very much GA. And I look around now. I look in the Premier League. I don't think there's many world-class players in the Premier League. I genuinely feel that way. So I agree with Dan on that point. But look, just for me, I just think Sonny's the level below. This isn't revisionism, guys. You know, I've said, any of you that have known me for years, I've said for years, Sonny is the guy below the guys. He is very good.
I mean, yeah, I think maybe. I'm not saying biased, but maybe we've been spoiled by the players that we've actually grown up with, and that's how we based our opinions. Because, I mean, the players back then are so far from what they are now, and by that, I'm not even talking about the attackers. I'm talking about the defenders, like Ferdinand's, Vidic's, Campbell's, Kings, Maldini. Yeah, Maldini's, and so on and so on. So there are so many good players that kind of was then. So it's probably not fair to compare then and now, which is why I said earlier, when you have your tier, world class for me is maybe one person in each position. So you could go Messi, you could probably go, Kvaratskhelia, Yamal. So you could probably go like those two are the two world-class players in their position. Like there's the debate. For me, it's one in each position who you'd say, right, that's a world-class team, and you work your way through it. I wouldn't go, Yamal, Messi, Son, and kind of listed through 30 players and go, yeah, they're all world-class, because that's just a top-quality footballer to me. World-class means you are the best in the world. You're the best in the world.
There's people in the chat starting saying that there's racism for this now about Son. We're not getting into that. You say any of that, we'll just get rid of you.
I've not said this, by the way. Like I've not said that. We haven't even talked about is he a legend? You can't just come in my chat and pretend I've said something that I've not said. Wow, Kai, please, because this is what happens. People go to other shows and go, "Can you believe what Savva said over there?" I have not said this.
He wasn't a legend, so you can come for me.
That's Chris. We look different. Look, we're very different, me and him. Sorry, just thought it just makes me laugh. People just got to make things up. Very strange behavior.
Can I just say one thing though? Like almost all the players we said apart from Son have turned up in cup finals on the international stage. They've all won multiple Player of the Year awards. Son never turned up for us in a semi-final or final. And if he's that great, why has he never won one Player of the Year award either?
Yeah, but Player of the Year award, you can't go look at Ruben Diaz. He won that when Kane had the top goal scorer, the top assister that season, and so I don't think I know what you're saying. But also, quite a lot of the time when Kane weren't around, Son was the one that stepped up. He had he's got a lot of good moments against City, that sort of stuff. So, I personally, I think
semi-final finally didn't know.
The whole semi-final and final thing, I completely understand. But also, most of the time we were playing against teams that were better than us. So
when did Kane ever show up in semi-finals and finals?
Yep,
that's my problem. I've always
he's world class.
And
that's
James,
the problem I've always had with Harry Kane.
James,
to this day. Sorry. Look, really quickly, just to this day, it's my thing with Kane. I want to watch one semi-final or final. Not so much semis. I want to watch a final where that man plays, whether it's England, Spurs, Bayern Munich, and I want to see Harry Kane man of the match. You know what I mean? I want to see I want to see him grab the ball by the horns.
I must say the best game I ever seen him play though was against City. But I know what you're saying. You want to see it in an absolute. And when we talk about your XG, James, it's since 2014. Son's been the most clinical finisher in the world of football. He's outperformed his XG by 36%.
He's destroyed Germany. But the thing is with Kane, in this day and age, yes, world-class player. If I take him back 20 years, he's the level below for me. Personal opinion at the end of the day, because I think I can name a few better strikers than what he was. But the thing I loved about Kane is he had it in more than one place. He had his left foot, he had his right foot, and he's bloody good in the air as well. But when it came to semis or finals, he seemed to bottle it every time. I mean, for England, he totally bottled that penalty and screwed it up and put it straight over the net because he didn't have the head for it, in my opinion. He bottled that big time. But then he put in the other penalty. It just always seemed that when it comes to a semi or an actual final, like the person just said here today, he weren't no Drogba. He lost his cool, basically. That's how it come across anyway. But then
also with the Drogba debate, if you was playing a final, obviously take out Ronaldo, Messi, because I agree they're completely different level. But if you was playing a final, you'd pick Drogba over virtually every striker in the world. But you wouldn't, if someone said you've got a full season, Drogba probably wouldn't be most people's choice.
I totally agree with that. So it's one of those ones where,
well.
No, I totally agree with that. Over the season, Harry Kane would be the better player as such. But it's like arguing with Romero and other defenders. Romero turns up in finals. He turns up in semi-finals. He turns up in them games and he does world-class performances, bar maybe one. But then he doesn't turn up in the little games. And then you've got other defenders who turn up in the games, but when it comes to a final, they don't quite turn up as much.
Isn't that what we said? There's world-class players and there's world-class moments. Isn't that exactly what we said?
That is basically what I'm saying. And I think...
For me, Drogba wasn't world-class. But like you said, you need that goal. He's probably the first name on the team sheet. You're going into a final. You go far, barring your likes of Messi's and stuff like that. He's got to be well up there because of just what he did in the big moments.
World-class player. Modric was a world-class player. He showed up in every single game, every single little game, every single final. That is when I go saying world-class. Son was a world-class finisher, in my opinion. When it comes to the eye on the ball and he had the chance, 9 times out of 10, you was happy to put it in the back of the net, left or right. The way he could put it in with his left or right, I don't think there's really many he's second to. But as an overall player, he just don't reach that world-class one. But finishing,
I agree.
Looking at world class, I look at this in this is for me. If I look at any period of time, and I look at the peers that play in the same position around them, and I go, would I take that man above anyone else? And there were just so many more I'd put on that left hand side above Son. I'm not knocking him. I think
maybe the way you're wording it. Yeah, I agree with you, but I think maybe the way you're wording it is a bit harsh.
But it's only harsh because everyone's so emotional because it's a Tottenham player. Have you noticed? No one's getting emotional when we're mentioning any player that plays for another football club. We only get emotional because Son played for us. So if people remove their emotions and have this conversation, we'd be saying the same thing. Sonny, for me, has been a Spurs legend for sure. In my opinion, I think he's been a Spurs legend. Difficult to know what that word can mean for some people because we're talking about 10 years where we've only won the Europa League and which he didn't really have a lot to do with. So I'm not knocking him for that. Is he a legend? Yeah. For longevity, he's a legend. For scoring in some great goals, he's a legend. But for me, I still think in that time frame, in the 10 years he's been here, I've seen much better footballers at the club than Son. And I don't think they're legends. But again, you can't say anything because people are getting emotional because it's Son. People are getting very emotional.
It's true.
That's the problem. Remove your Spurs love. Is Son in the last decade? Is he one of the best free wingers in the world in the last decade?
No,
he's not.
No.
But one of the best finishers.
I think he is. I do.
I would even.
Above Robin, above Hazard, above Bale.
Not necessarily above these players, but I do think he's in that category.
Well, not level with them. Surely you can't. Surely if I turn around to you and go, right, today, as on the left side of your front three, you can pick Robben, you can pick Bale, you can pick who's the other one I just said?
Ribery.
Hazard. Huh?
Ribery.
Yeah,
Ribery was better than
offering
Hazard,
you-
in my opinion.
if I'm offering you any of these players, is Son the guy you're putting in the team? That's how I'm going to leave it with you, Ben. Is Son the one you're picking over them?
I just think it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, you know, you
Well,
put
the better
Son,
footballer.
you put
Like-
Son through on goal. You know, 9 times. How many seasons did we watch? Whenever he got the chances, you knew he was going to put it in the back of the net. If you're naming these legendary players, let's go back to someone like if you've got a Pirlo on your team and you know he's going to pick people out, you know, get a ball over to him on a twopence, you'd love Son in that team because you know he'd get on the end of it, and 9 times out of 10 he will put the ball in the net. You know, it's only been the last 2 years that we've been surprised by Son that's gone clean through on goal and not put it away. The last 2 years.
I don't think that's strictly true. As the numbers I gave you earlier suggest that this isn't true. That the average goals he scores every year in the Premier League tells me then that he hardly goes through on goal in the league. Is that right? Is that what you're saying?
I don't want to base it over the 10-year period. I just look every time
But
I've watched Son.
But you have to. But you have to, because look, if I bring up his goal scoring record in the Premier League, right? If you're going to be honest, other than the season of 23, that nothing you're looking there in terms of the Premier League goals, you're going, oh my God, that's outstanding, that's world class, are you?
I think 17 is I think 17's pretty decent for a winger.
Yes, for a winger.
17's good, yeah.
In the
17's
Premier
good.
League as well. Let's please not forget this is the Premier League. And he's also been playing for Tottenham Hotspurs, which has not been.
But they're the two standout
we're not known for having, fantastic playmakers.
Ben,
really.
I think what you've got to look at, and a few others got to look at it, yeah. I mean, me and Savva have had this debate many a time of who we'd have in a team. But I think what some people don't take in properly is how every person would have their team play. And most of us, I think, would have different formations, different styles, different this, different that. Now, in some aspects in a team, Son might actually be the man you want in that team more than one of the others because of that one thing he can do. Whereas if you want more out of a player to do more, like being able to cross the ball, pass the ball, be the playmaker on the side, be an out-and-out winger, then you're going to go for that one. But if you just want someone who can cut into the box and put it in the back of the net with a good chance with both feet, if he's given the chance, then maybe Son is the one you go for. I think a lot of it comes into how you want to play football as well.
Sure, but without going that deep, if I ask the question...
This is just the Premier League, though, isn't it? I mean, if you add in, all the cups, he's a 20-goal-a-season player, right?
Well, not really, no. I just showed you. I just showed you that. I mean, look, he's got 20-plus goals in all competitions, 1, 2, 3, 4 times in 10 years.
I mean, I'll die on the hill. I think he's world class. I do. I really do.
Ben,
sorry.
What you just said as well, I just want to show you this, right? This is Spurs league finish. When people go, you've got to remember he was at Spurs, I feel like people are forgetting that the team that he was in, right? Since Son's been at Tottenham, we finished 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 6th, 4th, 5th. So 6 of the 10 seasons we've been in the top 5. So he's not been playing in... we can't really say he's like, oh, he's terrible. He's not been playing.
For sure. But the players we're talking about are Premier League, winners for the most part. Son's been in a team that's been nowhere near that. So
I think it all just depends on what
you.
you.
I disagree. With that statement. No. With that statement, that statement was wrong. Because I mean, you can word things. Weren't it like over a 2-season period we had the most points but didn't win it? So we won the most games over a 2-year period. So you're saying about they won the league. They won the leagues because they had world-class players that stepped up in those world-class moments. We didn't.
True.
Because how do you get the most points over a 2-year period and still win nothing? Because they had world-class players in world-class moments that made the difference in those dying critical moments. For me, he's not world-class for that reason. I know people could say Harry Kane didn't turn up for finals, and I get that. But I always felt that whenever we turned up into a final, the whole team choked, and then that made Harry Kane try to do more than he was capable. And for all the wrong reasons that made him play worse than what he was normally his standard, if that makes sense.
No, I
When the-
disagree.
when-
I
when
think
the-
he bottled
when
it
the
when
team
it comes
for
to
me-
finals.
No, what I'm saying is he bottled it as well, but I think he bottled it by trying to do too much. I think there was times where it's like play that easy ball, but he wanted to be the one that kind of got us over the line. He wanted it too much, and that separates from getting world class and Harry Kane for me.
Do you know what? I see where you're coming from there. Yeah, that's actually a fair point that maybe he tried too hard at times. But for me, when it comes to finals, when it comes to semi-finals, Kane is a bottler, and he's proved it time and time again. But so does that actually make it that if he's bottled it on finals many a time, and I class him in this day and age as a world-class striker, and I've had debates, I would have him in my team over a lot of people because I think he's got more capability in the box than other people. But does that actually make Kane world-class then when he bottled it in finals and semi-finals? I mean, a world-class player performs in those days, don't they? I mean, that's what people were saying earlier. So are we actually sitting here now suggesting that Kane isn't quite world-class because his mentality doesn't seem to work in the top games? Just a question. Devil's advocate, call it.
Can I just ask, sorry, just really quickly, what I don't get about this is why is it if somebody thinks a player isn't world-class, why are they suddenly now not a fan? Why are they suddenly now ungrateful, right? Why are they like the abuse I'm seeing in the chat? I've had to time a few people out. This is ridiculous. Some people can think he's world class. Some people can not. It's not the end of the world,
opinion.
people.
It's fully opinion based. There's nothing you can't.
I'll ask this question: was Jamie Vardy world class?
No, he was a bloody good finisher.
He was, very, very
right.
good.
Who had a team play into everything to his exact strengths, which is why he scored so many goals.
But this is my point. This is my point. When you look at Jamie Vardy's numbers that are better than Harry Kane, better than Son's. When you look at Jamie Vardy carried his team to win a title, those sort of things. I don't think he's world class. I feel that everyone's way too emotional about he's our player. He has to be called world class. I agree with what Chris said in the sense of if he was world class, why is he never even nominated for PFA Player of the Year? Why has there never been a bid for him from Real Madrid, from PSG? I'm just trying to say no other player that's called world class doesn't get their move.
The problem,
people can, unless anyone's got any names, top players. Hang on, top players that are at clubs that like our level that have held on to that player the whole time, and a big club hasn't come in for them because Modric was world class. Madrid went boom. Carrick, right? Man United, boom. Not saying it was world class, but it was one of the best at what he did. Man U came in and took him. Teddy Sheringham, Gareth Bale, Kane, Berbatov, right? That like came and took them. Son never did, and I just wonder why. That's
when we've turned that round in the argument now, because people will say, "Oh, he was so loyal to us," and I just think, well, it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if someone had to come in for him. Would he been? Has he been loyal, or has he just not had the opportunity to go elsewhere? Because
I think he would have had opportunities if he didn't sign contracts and things. Contracts.
But if he was that good, but that's Savva's point, right? But if he's that good,
that good,
the big clubs stop him leaving Tottenham.
Yeah, I'm not
officially saying right now with Isak. Look what's happening right now with Isak. Right now, Isak. Do we agree? Isak's a world-class striker.
Yeah.
In this day and age, yes.
Right in this day, right now though, right now, he is one of the best strikers in world football. Liverpool, one of the biggest clubs in the world, are going tooth and nail to get this bloke. Why? Because he's that good.
Yeah, but I think I remember there being strong links with Madrid because a lot of fans were saying part of that will be because of the Asian market and everything else. So I think it's hard to remember over the last 10 years whether clubs have been interested and we've signed contracts. He enjoyed playing with Kane. We looked like we had a good team a few years back. So I think there are several different reasons why that might be the case. And also, just because you stay, like we had this argument with Kane, people said he weren't world class because he only ever stayed at Spurs and never. That doesn't necessarily redefine whether a player's world class because he stayed loyal at club. It's I think that
wasn't the only metric though, Luke.
No, I'm just saying that.
What I'm saying is, who has ever bid for Son?
I remember strong links with Madrid and Liverpool. Whether bids were made,
who bid? I'm talking about like right now with Isak, like what happened with Gareth Bale. right? That the biggest of the big came in and went, that's the guy. He's world class. We must have him. Right?
But could it, could, like what we always say with transfers, could they come to because he's always been on a massive contract. Could they have come to Tottenham and said, what's the price? And they've gone 100 million. Bear in mind, five years ago, 100 million is probably 400 million now, or vice versa, just as a thing. He's gone 100 million, he's worth that in X, Y, Z, and they've gone, we physically cannot afford that. And then have they kind of gone, no, can't afford that, he's out of our price range.
And like others have said, we don't know what goes on behind the market and who
no,
makes
exactly.
It's
you don't know if they've inquired behind
we
it.
don't know.
It's always that excuse when it's one of our players. It's always the excuse when it's one of ours.
Said officially.
No, but that's not that's so generous because you say all the time.
Sorry, I haven't. Right. Chat, grow up. I've not dismissed him. I literally sat here and said he's a Spurs legend. I just don't ever think he was world class. I don't know why this is so painful for people. Dan, me and you have talked about this for years. I've said this for years. This isn't a now thing. I just think he was the level below for me. Yeah, I don't know why so many people
as well.
are so upset.
I do believe clubs were interested. Klopp blatantly stated recently that the biggest mistake he ever made is in his entire career was that he didn't get him in at Dortmund, but he couldn't do it because he couldn't have the money, and that he didn't get him in at Liverpool. And okay, that's one manager, that's one team, but that's one team that everyone calls it one manager. Everyone says an elite manager, and for an elite manager to go and say that, there's got to be some credit there. I think if he would have gone Liverpool and then done a rota with basically Salah and Maine and having them three going round and that, I think you would have seen a total different career because he would have had different people around him. Considering who he's had round him and some of the crap he's had round him at times, with some of the quality, and also having officially the best strike force in the Premier League with him and Kane, he has done world-class things, but overall he's just not that world-class player. And this is no disrespect to someone. And I think other people, again, it's where we look on things differently. And Luke, this is what we was chatting about last night, and you, Ben, and others. This is where our fan base is so bloody divided that you've either got to be far left or far bloody right. You can't sit on the fence and swing one way or sit on the other and that. You can't, if you say this, no, I mean, bloody hell, I've been labelled racist before just because I said I don't think Sonny's world class, for God's sake, yeah? And been labelled other things that if you do say someone is well, you cannot win with this bloody fan base.
It's not just our fan base, though. That's what football is. Emotion, passion. That is what
Spurs. This is about Spurs. So I will talk about the Spurs fan base.
I understand that, but you say it's just Spurs. It's not just Spurs.
No. I said right now.
Other clubs
it's not.
That is over football.
That's rubbish. It's not just
the other clubs. Look how these clubs like Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool. When these clubs lose players, they just crack on. Like, we've got fans, Ben, losing their minds over selling a 33-year-old. Like, if we were a ruthless football club, this guy wouldn't have been here for the last 2 years, right?
Yeah, but do you think that's part of the problem, Sam?
I'm not gonna blame fans that are emotionally attached.
I think part of the problem is that the fans don't back who we're going to bring in as a replacement. I think that's part of the problem. We're sitting here going, like, holding on to what he done a few years ago, possibly, and going, well, we're not going to see a player at that level again because we're not going to bring in the correct people. We're going to bring in another mediocre left winger, and that's part of the problem, I think.
And look,
I'm not looking at any of that.
Right, look, that is the problem. What our fan base is doing right now, from all of the comments, like Chris, we were talking about this on WhatsApp before. We were looking at all these different comments from the internet. Everyone's conflating, right? What Spurs will do to replace him, and we'll talk about this in a minute, is a very different conversation to, is Son still the man, right? Yeah. Because most clubs, you look, Chelsea fan, they lose top players every year. I don't see them going into meltdown. They go and buy someone else. I think we go into meltdown as a fan base in general because we're more worried about will we replace rather than is Son at that level still. I think if we had a proper chairman, right? If we had a proper chairman that right now had gone out and gone, do you know what? No messing about. There's Matoma. You know what I mean? If Matoma had been signed in the first week of the window, if pick your poison for the left winger. If a proper winger had been brought in, we'd be going, oh, thanks, Sonny. Appreciate it. Look, we've got a new guy in. half the problem is, though, that I think most of us are sitting here worried about, hang on, is Tell going to be our left-sided player?
I think he is. And that is what I think a lot of people are scared about.
I think that's where people need to, like we're saying, separate their emotions and the feelings for the club and what he's doing. I look like I said, for me, he's one of the best left wingers in the Premier League era. For me personally, I think he was absolutely mustard. But for me, world class is the best player in that position. Personally, that and that's it, and that's not taking anything away from him because, like we said, Hazard's in the bracket below. Like there are players that are in that bracket below that are unreal footballers. Like, unfortunately, when people have a conversation or a debate, they don't like it because if it's not exactly what they want to hear, they think you're calling them shit, and it's far from the truth.
But also,
far from the truth.
There's no right or wrong. You say, like, I get what you're saying in terms of world class.
There is right or wrong. I'm right, and
you're number one in the world. And the only caveat I would say to that is if you're number one in the world and you're Ronaldo, but Messi plays in that position, then you have to have two world class. Do you understand what I'm saying? So for me, it's almost like world class is your top 2-3 players in the world. Elite is your top. It goes from like 4, 5, 6, say something like that. And I think that's where Son sits for me. Son sits. He's an absolute elite player who provided world class moments, but actually, he needed to. They probably needed a bit more to his game. Maybe that was because Spurs weren't good enough. Yeah. Maybe Spurs needed to have a better team around him. I think that's where he is, and there's no problem with an elite player being a legend at a club. By the way, guys, like that's not like, oh my god, every single legend has to be a world class player. That's not.
We've got different opinions on legends.
So I'm saying he's a legend of the club. Doesn't mean I have to go, oh well, if he's a legend, he's world class. Steve Perryman. Could we argue that Steve Perryman is the biggest legend at Tottenham Hotspur?
He's up there. He's got to be up there.
Trophies won, captain of all those trophy sides. He was not a world-class footballer in any way, shape, or form. He was a good footballer. He was loyal. He was good at what he did. He's a legend. Yeah. Doesn't mean I think he's world-class. And then you've got other legends like Jimmy Greaves, who was world-class. Glenn Hoddle, who was world-class. I agree, Luke. You don't have to be a legend. Doesn't mean you're world-class.
I would say people like the legends you could put Hugo Lloris, Danny Rose, Carl Walker. You could put those guys in legend.
See, this is where I completely disagree. Like, how many legends if Danny Rose is our legend level, we must have a couple of hundred legends, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, but that volley against Arsenal, everyone's got to be a legend for that.
That's legendary status.
Legendary moment.
A legendary moment.
Yeah. But
for me, I think sometimes that because we can't hold out either. You can't say, like, for example, Son's not a legend because the next guy's better than Son, or vice versa. They don't get downgraded at that time and point. For me, Son's absolute legend, and if world class is the top and elite's the one below, then he goes in that for me. He was second to none. Him and Harry Kane, just goals after goals after goals, the way they work for each other. And I think sometimes what a lot of people, and this is sort of sticking up for Son again, look, boys, I'm turning into a Son lover. You guys are negative.
I don't understand what's negative. Literally,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah, I know, but the only thing that's been said is that some of us don't think he's world class, and everyone's going, "Oh, you don't appreciate him. You don't deserve him." Why not?
Sometimes
I don't get this. How childish has the world got?
Yeah.
Like,
sometimes what I would say is his runs, though, even if he didn't score, that run. I mean, was it Mourinho's season? He was running in behind, and he was just opening the space for the likes of Harry Kane. So Harry Kane would go on and score. So there are moments that that benefit him that ain't always goals. But again, that's why he goes in the category below for me. But absolute legend. Like, I don't get how people can sort of say he's not.
I think he's a legend in relative terms. I think he's a legend because of longevity. If we're going to be, if he had only done 4 seasons, James, are we calling him a legend?
No,
but he did.
No, but James, that's my point. So look how many players that come. Like, would you say Luka Modric is a legend from Tottenham?
Not for me.
No.
See, he's right. This is the point. No one says Luka Modric, Tottenham legend. That's one of the best midfielders I've ever seen at Tottenham Hotspur.
He may be the best footballer I have ever seen at Tottenham.
Okay, well, sure. But my point is, do you see what I mean? Because Modric was there for 3, 4, I don't know, 4 years maybe, right? No one ever talks about Modric legend status. Son's been there 10 years, so they go legend. And I think this is where everything gets skewed for fans. Again, it's a lot of emotional. A lot of it is emotional. A lot of it is longevity. Like when fans, we talked about this off air, didn't we? Like when fans go, oh, Sonny and Kane have got the best goal scoring partnership in Premier League history. Yeah, because they played together for nearly a decade. That's not me knocking them, but if you play together for longer than any other partnership, you are going to have more chance of scoring goals than those partnerships,
again,
right? That's just math.
People have different standards. People have different opinions. And at the end of the day, a lot of this is hard to argue because it comes down to opinionated. And when things are opinionated, unless you put down a stat, not one person can tell me I'm wrong at the end of the day, whether I'm just being stubborn, whatever. Unless someone can put a fact on that table, nobody can tell me my opinion is wrong. And that goes for everybody. Some people look on a player as a legend like Son because he did perform here and he was here 10 years. You do not get players like that. The last player like that I can say gave his heart and soul to a club, not just his head. Steven Gerrard. Yeah. Okay. Succeeded a lot more in things, but he also had options to go other places and that. But he's also got that legend at Liverpool, not just because what he did, but because his heart and soul was with it and the amount of time he was there. For some people, what Son done on the day is good enough to make him a legend. But for me, what makes Son a legend here is he gave us his heart and soul and blood and everything in him for 10 years, when I do think there was other options out there that he could have possibly pulled off if he would have had a fight for it as such. But that's an opinion. And for me, he is a club legend. But I just can't sit here and say he's a world-class player because then I'm lying to myself. I ain't just going to say what people want to bloody hear. But then I'm going to get called negative, this and that. And how can I call him a legend? Because I didn't call him bloody world class. What, is someone going to turn around and tell me Lineker was world class and a bloody legend now as well? It's opinionated, a lot of it. And I just think some people struggle to understand that people just see the things in a different level.
Look how
For me,
emotional
the legend
people are.
but this is Spurs, isn't it? We are emotional.
Sav, can I bring something up with the
conversation?
attachment? I want to bring something up with the attachment, Sav. This is right. So you say that obviously Spurs fans are too attached to him and Son, which I fully understand.
No, not just with hang on, but no, because you're about to separate my whole point on Spurs fans and we're too emotional with every player. We have these debates. We had this debate for 5 years about Lo Celso and Ndombele, and people would lose their minds. You can't sell him. You can't do this. We had Lamella for like 9 years. You go, I'd sell Lamella. Oh no, I like him. I think this manager will get the best. We're not ruthless as a club, and therefore that's filtered into the fan base where we're emotional over every footballer.
But you can't really blame the fans for that, though, can you? If we're honest.
Yes, of course I can. Like people who are upset that Son's going. I'm not upset the Son's going. Thank you for the 10 years. It is time to move on. Thank you for everything you've done. Now, my attention turns to Spurs. What are you doing? Spurs, what are you doing now? Right? I'm not attached to a 33-year-old that's past his best. No. Why would I be?
I think it's because the topic is him leaving, that we're all talking about him leaving. But what the people in the chats and what people watching don't realise is there's going to be moments we meet up and we talk about the times that Son has put the ball in the top corner from 30, 40 yards. It's not like we're going, oh, he's absolute dreadful, get rid, blah, 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 and don't appreciate anything he's done. There's going to be loads of times that I sit down with the boy or anyone and go, look at this, do you remember this? Or, oh, how many goals did Son score? He just ripped him into the top corner for fun. The finesse shot was just leveled from that geezer. So, and I think people, when you talk about him leaving and you kind of go, oh, he's leaving and he's not world class, people automatically think, hold on a minute, like these guys don't rate him when they don't know us. They don't know us as a footballing opinion. We're all going to, I'm sure, have chats about Son in 10 years' time of how good he is and how good of a finisher he is. But they just put 2 and 2 together and immediately think that everyone's calling him shit, which is just so far from the truth.
I might be wrong, but I'm sure nobody said that he's below elite here. So everyone said that he was an elite footballer. It's like
we said he's shit.
like,
This is what I mean, Luke. Like,
I say he's a world-class finisher.
Yeah, like it's just mad. I think he's been a brilliant player for Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah,
he's been brilliant.
I've probably gone the hardest in the sense that I don't think he's a legend, but that doesn't mean I'm any less of opinion than Savva's just said. What it does mean is that for me, you have maybe 5 to 10 legends roughly at a club. There's no fixed number, obviously, but it's like Dan said, it's all about your own definitions and where do you place the bar. And I think if you start having 20, 30, 40, 50 legends at a club, by definition, they can't be legends because you've devalued the term.
It's like,
but then that can go on how long you've been around.
I disagree. I disagree because in 50 years, if 50 years, does that mean, say for example, there's better players than Gareth Bale and Gascoigne? Does that mean they're no longer legends? They just get demoted?
Well, their impact will diminish. Like in 200 years' time, I doubt anyone's talking about Gareth Bale, right?
No, because he'll be doing all of the tours and all of that. We love a legend doing a tour and all of that. He'll still be around.
I'm sorry, I completely disagree with that motion because
but you said Danny Rose was a legend, so I'd expect you to disagree.
No, but if we can only have 10 legends or whatever you say, 15 legends, I could probably list 20 of them now, and then you'd go, well, now they can't be because there's only 10. Like, surely that doesn't make sense. If you're a legend,
there's no specific number, but sure.
No, I'm sorry. I thought maybe I got that wrong. Then I thought you said.
For me, I don't think you can be going 30, 40, 50. It just means is Lloris a legend because he's done as long as Son has done? He performed at the same sort of level. Ben Davies has done the longevity. He's given everything. He's rubbish, right? But he's given everything to Tottenham. Is he a legend? Like, he's done nothing wrong,
Do you know what? That's actually a fair point, Chris. That's actually quite a fair point. I mean, Ben Davies has given us his all.
No, but there's levels in footballing ability.
No, I know. It's more of a bit of sarcasm. Is David Ginola a legend at Spurs?
He would be club ambassador.
One of our best players and one of our most skillful players we've had. Along with Berbatov, I think he's one of the most skillful players we've had. But no chance is he a legend. Not in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, but
it's got to be performance and longevity, doesn't it? To be a legend, it has to be performance.
Yeah, I think it has to be both. But I do think it has to be both. And same with for me. I don't think you can have 10 legends or 20 legends. Or I think you have to. Legend is what you make of it. So 10 years of Son scoring goals for Tottenham Hotspur, that puts him in a legendary status for me. So that for me personally, somebody just gives it that much. They did win the Europa League, whether he had a massive say in it or not. We did get to the Champions League final. We was close to winning the league.
So like Danso won the Europa League. I think that's an irrelevant point.
Well, no, because it all kind of.
He had no influence.
No, it's not irrelevant though when you're picking out 5, 6, 7 of them all into one bracket because that's what makes it a legendary status for me. I'm not saying he won the Europa League and that's it, so he's a legend. I'm saying he gave us 10 years. He gave us hundreds of goals. He performed one of the best partnerships that I've ever seen as a Spurs player for Tottenham. He has won the Europa League. He has done so much more than just the one. It's just when you put 7, 8, 9, 10 ticks into one box, it moves them.
If you're putting it forward as part of your argument, it has to be okay to challenge that part of the argument, right? And I don't think that is a valid part of the argument whatsoever. He contributed almost nothing to that Europa League win.
I don't think a lot of this legend talk, it all comes down to what does that mean for the individual fan? Like, first and foremost, I'll be brutally honest, for me, like when a player's gone, I can look back at them fondly and I can remember stuff, but what does it actually mean? Like, he's a legend. What does it, do you know what I mean, guys? Like, what impact does it have to me now, who's played and what they've gone? I don't know. I'm not sure. I think
Ledley King's a good example of that because if Ledley King had 2 knees, he wouldn't have played along at the Spurs because he'd have gone on to your Real Madrid, your Barcelonas. So would he have then been a legend if he left at 23, 24? Probably not. So I think there's all, like, for instance, I think Van der Vaart he was only around for a few years, but the
you're right.
nutmegs on Wilshere, the goals against Arsenal, for me, he's a legend. But he was only here for a couple of years, so it's like it depends on how easy. Similar to the world class thing, how easy do you use the term? I guess.
Yeah.
Again, it's like opinion, Luke. It's like when we talk about managers and that, and who was a world-class manager and that. Again, people have different standards on it. I have a standard where I hold certain managers higher than other managers because, I mean, people say Alex Ferguson, the greatest manager ever, or one of. Now, one of, I agree, but it's just an example I've given. I don't rate him better than Mourinho. Reason being, Mourinho went and done it in how many, like at Porto. Okay, Ferguson done it at Aberdeen. But he could have done it all over the world. And he stuck at Man U when they was their elite. Yes, he made it. But for me, Mourinho did it every single bloody place he went. That is my personal opinion on why I rate him as a better manager. But others will just say, oh, you're talking crap now. Ferguson was better. No, listen to the point. It's in my opinion. Now, another person will say, so-and-so's a better manager because he had better tactics, better this, won more cups, whatever else. A lot of it does come down to opinions. When you just go down to stats and facts, you're basically talking, right, is so-and-so better than that one because he scored more goals? Is that one better than that one because he won more trophies? I mean, we can all name quite a few players out there that won the league or won a cup and they was absolutely shit players, you know?
Yeah, cool.
So,
but
yeah.
But this is what I say, Dan. So what are people's metrics for legend? Is it longevity? Is it trophies won? Is it individual accolades? Is it that it was their favourite player? I don't really, I don't understand why people lose their mind over these statuses. I don't get it.
With Son, I think it's a bit of everything. I mean, because like I had a good chat with Mia and Ellie about it this morning, and I think Mia made a brilliant point on it when I said, like, is Harry Kane a legend as well? And she said, like, I can't remember the exact words we used, but basically the agreement we came to is that Kane's head was with Spurs, but his heart wasn't. Whereas with Son, you can turn around and say that man's head, heart, soul, and blood was with Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
He'd done 10 years here. He performed majority of the time. He carried us one or two times as well.
So why can't I say that about Kane as well? What's the difference?
I'm not saying you can't say it about Kane. This is opinion.
No. I'm asking you. I'm disagreeing with what you said there. What's different between Kane and Son?
I just agreed with what Mia said. Is I just think Son had more of his heart with the club than Kane. It's a personal opinion.
Kane spent 19 years at
but based on Harry Kane was here from a child through to the age of 30, scored hundreds of goals. I can't see.
But if you want to call him a legend, you want to call him a legend.
No, I don't care about opinion. I don't care about, again, these terms, legend, world class. I really don't care. People getting emotional over, oh my God, so and so doesn't think the same as me as world class. What I'm saying is, when we're saying it is Son's heart and soul was in it more than Kane's.
Personal opinion.
Sure, but on what metric? Like, I'm confused. Harry Kane was here for 20 odd years. Is the club's all-time top goal scorer. Why was his heart and soul not in it?
And he's on the record as saying he wouldn't leave, right? If we had showed ambition, which we all agree we didn't. Right? We failed Kane.
But oh, I agree with that. We failed Kane and Son in that aspect. We had the best link in the Premier League and what it's ever seen, and we did not build around it. You can blame the club for that. But some people will say, like me, I just believe that Son, his heart and soul was with it more than Kane. Kane did want to go and win things. No two ways about it, yeah? And I can't blame him. I said he should have put down the boots and said, I ain't playing for you no more when Man City got the option in, because he should have just been more looking out for himself at the end of the day, because we as a club we weren't going nowhere. And the problem is with Kane, he would never have been known as a world-class striker, basically, unless he won something. And that's a bit of a dirty thing, but that is one thing that would have all been held back on him. Yeah, you can say he's world-class all you want, but what did he ever win? And that's just one of them dirty things that people put on a player's back.
Yeah, I think that's an immature argument. People that say that don't know what they're talking about when it comes to football.
But a lot of people say it, mate. And
I agree with you.
It's one thing
they're the ones that have no idea about football.
He might have been world class. He might have been this, but what has he got to show for it at the end of the day?
So, I mean, for me, there's a couple of things there that I disagreed with. Obviously, the first one is you have to win a trophy to be world class. Because
I don't agree with that either.
I know. If Rashford and Saka scored their penalties, we'd have won the Euros. That would have made Harry Kane world class. Like, yeah, that for me,
Yeah,
it makes no
without him
sense.
kicking another ball. Yeah,
Yeah,
without him
that's what I
kicking
mean.
another
Yeah,
ball.
that's
I agree.
so for me. Yeah, that doesn't make sense for me. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, I think that the media and people around Spurs have such a big influence on Harry Kane. Let's get it right. Harry Kane gave us 20 years of his footballing career, being told he was crap the whole time, watching all our best players leave the whole time. It gets to a point where you see all your friends leaving and winning and doing that, and you kind of like, look, I'm giving you everything else. What more can you give me? Like Tottenham helped me here. Every year they're like, no, we'll sell him. We'll buy in cheap. No, we'll sell him and we'll buy XYZ. We'll sell him and sell Luka Modric, and we'll, no disrespect, but Palacios, Tom Huddlestone, they're the kind of guys next to him. So for me, Kane had every right to leave. I didn't feel sad at all. I actually felt quite happy that Kane went, you know what, boys, I've done what I could do. Please appreciate I gave you everything I could. There's no more to give. I've got to go. So for me,
I agree.
That's why he's a legendary status. Is look, I gave you everything. The team and the manager let me down, not I let the team down. Off I went.
But
and I
the
think
majority of
that's
people
what
would do,
done.
James, is people in general, and I will say, call it an opinion again, but I will say a majority of people will turn around and say, but Son was a legend at Spurs because he walked off with a trophy. Just the same way that a lot of people turn around and say, yeah, but Ange was a better manager than Poch because on the stat side, he's got a trophy to show for it. And this is where people get very divided. 1 minute, people
I don't argue with those people.
You don't. But sometimes
I give those
I
give them the number to the hospital, get them to get checked in because they're mentally ill.
Guys, you're both. You both
I
just
was
had
in the middle
a
of finishing something
sentence each, and I didn't hear either of you.
Right. What I was just saying, James, was, but if you want to go by stats wise, like some people love to throw down the stats when it suits them and then ignore them when it suits them. Yeah. The stats say that Ange had a better career here than Poch. The stats say that Son, if you go by trophies, had a better career here than Kane. I don't look on it that way, but I think there's a hell of a lot out there that do look on it that way. Was Ange a better manager than Poch? Was he? Was he one of the worst managers I ever saw? In my opinion, one of the worst ever in the Premier League. But that's my opinion. But on the stat side of it, he did better than Poch. And that's just how people look at things different.
Yeah, but look at
different people.
Go on, Luke. Sorry.
Like, you look at all of the goal. Look, he's the top scorer of the club's history.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't do that by having a decent season, or like that. That's just bad. Like, it's different if he scored the same amount as Son after a few years less and then left. Fair enough, but he scored more goals than anybody else in the history of this club.
Yeah,
that has to stand for something. Like, and
I agree.
You have to win a trophy. That's absolutely crazy. So if a guy goes and scores 50 goals, 60 goals, 70 goals a season, every single season, and finishes second in 25 finals, and finishes second for 10, 15 years on a trot, oh, he's shit. But if he goes and win a Carling Cup, now right, he's world class. Absolute world. Like, that whole argument is just.
I agree.
This is why people judge these things, Luke, in a snapshot of time.
Yeah.
And this is why when I talk about overall, like if we're going to turn around and say, to use Dan's argument, sorry, the point that Dan gave, sorry, it wasn't his argument, but if we're going to turn around and say, okay, because Ange beat Frankfurt, the worst Man U we've ever seen, Bodo Glimt, and it was Alkmaar, Bodo Glimt, Frankfurt, and Man United, right? If we're going to say because he beat those four in a knockout route to win a European Cup, that he's a better manager than Poch because of that couple of months. Yeah. Sure, I get it, because it ended with a trophy. But if you turn around and said, right, who do you want at your club? Who do you want at your club for 5 years that's going to build the team, grow a team, coach a team, bring through young players, make the team better, make a solid defense? I think 99% of the fan base are going to go for Pochettino, right? So snapshot of time, yay. Bigger picture, because the bigger picture is you don't win trophies every year. And if you're not winning trophies every year, that stat very quickly loses its meaning.
Yeah, but there's also,
do you see what I mean?
It would also
what I was going to say to that part is it's all well and good comparing the two, but it's like me going into a running race with Usain Bolt, i.e. being in the Champions League, Pochettino, Real Madrid, Barcelona's, or me going in a running race and running with loads of 7-year-olds. I'd expect myself to be winning that race. When you're talking of the levels, there's one thing performing at one level, but when you're not in the same competition, how do you judge? You can't judge. It's like going, for me, Pochettino overachieved in the biggest moment or the biggest competition in the hardest league in the world continuously.
I agree.
And underachieved in the league and done what I expected him to do in the Europa League. Is that fair to say? Like, I expected us to win that, or at least be in the final, semi-final. I expected that
challenge.
Whereas I didn't expect us to get out of the group stage, if I'm being honest, when we was in there with the Real Madrid's looking as deadly as they were, Barca's, City's, and we had all of them all the way through. Didn't we have Dortmund? We beat all of those up until the final.
Yeah.
So for me, you can't even compare, because one, and I know Dan hasn't said this, but for one, you're playing the big boys, and you're not only playing the big boys, you're knocking them out one by one by one by one. Whereas, like I said, Glint, like, come on, I expect us to beat them 4-5-0 anyway. Like, it's, if we only won 1-0, I'd be disappointed. So you can't compare.
People would say that game against Ajax, I mean, I'll speak for myself here. I ain't going to speak for everyone else, but again, in my opinion, that game for Ajax nearly had me in tears when we won that.
100%. I love that game so much.
That game, the whole street heard me scream so loud that I woke up my mother on her last legs on the bed, basically. But when we won that title with Ange, if anything, I just fell on my knees and just went, thank God for that. It's over. You know, for me, relief. That semi-final, yes, relief, right? It was relief. For me, that game with Ajax, it's going to sound crazy, but it meant more emotionally to me, and I ain't good with emotions anyway, than winning that Europa Cup. And some would just say that's crazy, but we won a cup. I get that. But that game against Ajax, it just meant more for me emotionally than winning the bloody cup. And it shouldn't be like that. But for me, it was, because I was so drained with that season that I had just cut off the football and Spurs, that by the time we won it, I was just relieved it was over. Thank fuck, we got a cup. We got something to get him out. I've had enough, and then finished my Southern Comfort and got pissed on it.
but there is a bit of nostalgia in that as well, because we were shit in the league when we're under Poch that year. We was terrible in the league when we got to the Champions League final. We struggled. I don't think we won an away game all year. So again, it's a bit nostalgic. I know what you're saying, and you're right, but it is a bit nostalgic because it's been so long now. We completely forget about the league because we just remember the Champions League run, so being so good and everything else. And so I think there is a part to that. But the trophy thing, Radek Cherny was our backup goalkeeper in the Carling Cup when we beat Chelsea. Is he a bigger legend at Spurs than Harry Kane because he's got a trophy and Harry Kane hasn't? Like, well, it's
fair point.
It's not, like, it's just it doesn't stand up for me.
Yeah, look, I need to do some super chats, and I want to move on to post Son. I honestly, I like to read all the comments as they come in. The number of people who think that he's being slagged off, I've not heard anyone slag him off at all. Just that some think he's world class and some don't. I've never known anything like it.
Do we all? Let me do just one thing just before we end it. Do we all think he's a legend, barring Chris? Like, do we all think he's a legend of the football club?
I think he's a legend through longevity. He's not a legend because he's one of the best I've ever seen. He's a legend through longevity.
Yeah,
I think even on that, the point is, I think for the chat, really, I think we here get it, that even though we're disagreeing on that, James, and you said Rose, which you probably regret now. It doesn't mean It doesn't mean though that I've got a different view on you to Son particularly. It just means I've got a different definition of what legend is. It doesn't mean I appreciate it any less. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's the same as world class and elite and stuff, isn't it? It's the same thing. If someone would say world class is the top 100 players, for me it's one or two in each position, like we said,
which is a fair point. But Son, whatever the reason, just the question, I put it on that to the end of it, whatever the reason you've got, forget that. Is Son a legend for you at the club? Yes, he is for me. Whatever the reason I want to give, he is. Would everybody agree on that?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was
as I said,
whatever the reason, forget what the reason is, but whatever reason you've got, just a yes or no, would you say Son is a legend? And you're entitled to your opinion.
For me, no, but I still think he's an amazing player, right?
There you go. You've got 5 people now who say he's a legend for whatever reason they've got. Yes, he is. And Chris just don't think he is a legend because he's got his own opinion, which he's entitled to.
Chris, can I ask who you think is a legend at Tottenham Hotspurs? I just want to see your bracket is all.
Bill Nicholson, Danny Blanchflower, Perryman, Hoddle. I'd probably say Gary Mabbott.
Harry Kane? Would you put Harry Kane?
Yeah.
Harry Kane is?
I would, yeah. The thing is, ultimately, we've all got different definitions, but none of us none of us actually really know our own definition, right? None of us have sat down and written out a definition. It's gut feeling based on a lot of different things, isn't it? That's the reality of it.
Well, can I ask why Son isn't a legend for you then? If you put Kane in that bracket?
Well, the easiest
way
to flip it round and say, why do you think Son is? I don't think he's done anything that makes him an outstanding, like, all-time great for me. Okay. Whereas I think I can say why all of those.
See, Chris, the thing is, I agree with you, but but there's still one metric that makes me put him in there, which is the longevity. As I've said, if I'm going by ability or players I've seen, he's nowhere near my top 10. Like ability wise, I've seen so much better footballers at Tottenham Hotspur than Son. Right? People get offended by that.
I think the thing that you said that I would.
But I have seen much better footballers, right? Moussa Dembele for me, a far better footballer than Son, yeah, but wasn't here long enough, so no one goes legend, right? If he had done 10 years of it, we'd all be going legend. Yeah. So longevity for me is why he gets it.
I mean, just to sort of agree in a way by reversing that, 2 of my all-time favourite players would be Van der Vaart and Klinsmann. Klinsmann, possibly my favourite ever player. I'd struggle to say he's a legend. Like, he played for us for a season and a half. But I can't give you my exact definition, as I doubt you can do for you either, because it's all a little bit gut feeling, isn't it?
I think what you said there, was really good. Is in you ended that with, I don't think he's a legend because I don't think he's an all-time great. So if you think a legends are the all-time greats, then I would agree he's not a legend. If you're putting him in that all-time great, I think it's a very good point that you made, because I know it's just another couple of words, but all-time greats for me, no, he's not, but he's still a legend.
Just to finish it off before he does the super chats, you're all wrong and we're all wrong, because I went to watch the Tottenham Legends in the first ever game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and Basson played. So
Luke, I went to a Spurs Legends game about 2 weeks ago. David Kerslake played, Stuart Nethercott played, so you know.
Don't you think, guys? I'm going to do some super chat. I just think these terms lose all meaning when it's thrown around so easily. I mean, like I'm not talking about Son now, by the way. I'm not talking about Son, but the word world class. I'm seeing, and Danny said this earlier, I'm seeing players that have had like one good year in football. He's world class. He's world class. A striker who has one good year of scoring 20 goals. He's world class. Back in the day, this was the norm. Strikers back in the day scored 20, 25 goals a season. Now, if somebody does once, we go, oh my God, they're 90 million. Get him in, 90 million, 100 million, get him. I think these words have lost meaning. I truly do think it's lost meaning for me. Let me do some super chats. Big up to Marios. Thank you very much, man. He's been a member for 2 months now. So big up Savva, the best Spurs creator. Gutted about this. I'm not the best Spurs creator. There's lots of very good football creators in the Spurs world. As I said, Marios, maybe I'm heartless. I'm not gutted that Son's leaving. I think it's right. It's the right one thing we've not talked about in all this. And I'll talk to him. For me, it's the right time, which makes it not gutting. If this was Son from 4 years ago, right, and suddenly said I'm leaving, I think then we'd be like, what? Now I'm gutted, but I think we knew he was coming to the end, right? We knew. Anyway, it is what it is, Marius. Big up to you. Joshua, thank you very much. Joshua Barmetla said, going to love seeing Son play in the US. Where do you all rank him in the Premier League era of Tottenham? I'll ask that question. I'll bring this back up in a second. That could be quite a fun conversation. Jimmy, I don't know why sorry, I don't know why that starred. Sorry, not sure. So Chris still hasn't presented his top 10 list of legends. I mean, he just rattled off loads and loads and loads of top legends of Tottenham
I
Hotspur.
didn't even mention Jimmy Greaves in it either. But
I mean, there are people that obviously older than me that rattle off players from the 60s that go legend. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult. I'll answer this in a minute. Big up to Sonny TAC. So what are we even talking about? Yeah, it was a great time to leave. We need something new now. Yep. And yeah, it's sad as a Spurs fan. Let's move on. Why are we ruining it? We can be sad and be ambitious at the same time. So what's been ruined? We're just six blokes having a football chat about a bloke who's been paid very well to play for our football club. I don't know what's been ruined. I don't understand why we're so emotional. Nothing's been ruined. Big up to you. Big up to Maz, who said, can't he be a world-class player, but a chronic underachiever like Kane and Ledley King? Maz wins. Yeah, I just don't think he is a world-class player. I think Kane, I think you've described. Kane, for me, world-class player, chronic underachiever. I think that's fair. But Kane, for me, had so much more about him as a footballer than Son. Passing, control, could drop into the midfield, dictate a game from there. Good in the air, good with both feet, scores, hold the ball up. I don't think Son's got that. And we're seeing now that the pace is going a little bit. You're seeing that. He's not adopted to these things that Kane's got. Just my opinion, but big up to you, Maz. Thank you very much. Big up to my man, Mark, who has said, evening, Savronal. What about Ginola? Oh, my man. Double player of the year. Just leaving that on the table. Double player of the year, this guy. Right. Playing in a really crap team. We're going to talk about Son. Son's played in world-class teams compared to this guy, what he played in, and he stood out. He stood out like a sore thumb. Big up to you. Thank you, Mark. And big up to Craig Scott, General Tracks, DJ General Tracks, who said, my uncle, 13 years at Spurs, not a leg, but loved it. Not a ledge, but loved it. My uncle, 13 years at Spurs. Am I reading that wrong?
No.
My uncle.
I'm
my
not
uncle,
sure
13 years. I don't quite know what you mean, Craig. Can you let me know what you mean? Without don't put it in a super chat. Just let me know what you mean. Guys, this is just before we move on to how we're going to replace him. This is a good question. Where do you rank him in the Premier League era for Tottenham? So of all the players you've seen in the Premier League era since 92, 93, was it? Where do you rank him?
Ability or what? What are we ranking him by?
What, left wing or?
Let's go ability. Go ability.
Or
Top 10?
Top
yeah,
5?
for me, he's probably he's definitely in the top 10.
I think it's
He
so
doesn't make-
hard.
Doesn't
We're
make my
talking
top
about
10.
players in
at
all
all.
different
Doesn't get
positions,
near
right?
Yeah,
Only left winger though.
Guys,
I
can we
think that's
just
what we
answer
do.
a
Only
question
left.
without
Yeah,
breaking
yeah,
everything
from left
down
wing,
to
definitely.
it being like so binary? Let's just terms of players that you've seen and watching them. Where does he rank for you?
I feel
At
like
Spurs or overall?
At
You're going to have to
Spurs.
put more
Right,
context on it. I mean,
I just had to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I
don't
agree.
have to.
Too vague,
Guys,
man.
this
Too
doesn't
vague.
need to be so deep. This really doesn't need to be that deep.
Let's do wingers in the Premier League era then, and Tottenham wingers in the Premier League era, because that makes it a bit easier to kind of judge. Because obviously footballers, you could put like Modric and people like that in it. So if you did wingers in the Premier League era,
Oh, if we're going wingers, it's not a conversation though, is it? Like,
no,
Very.
exactly.
all right, let's move on from that. Sorry, Joshua, we've just made that a really boring. I was trying to have a little bit of fun, and everyone's trying to be so fucking.
It is a
on the
conversation.
nail.
It's an awkward one, though. It is a
It
bit of an
is, you
awkward
can't.
one.
Why is it? Can't we just have a bit of? Can we ever just have a bit of fun? Like, of all the footballers you've seen at Tottenham in the Premier League era, where are you putting him?
I
It's
don't see the issue with what James has said there, because you've still got to debate Bale and Ginola
Yeah,
and Son, and like, is he better than them? I think that's a valid debate, man. We've had plenty of good
Sure.
wings.
I was just trying to have a bit. I was trying to have a little bit of fun. That's all. That's all it was. I was just sorry. I'll move on. I just wanted to say, like, you've got Carl Walker, you've got Ledley King, you had Sol Campbell, you got Musa Dembele. I was just Modric and Carrick, and I was just. That's all I was.
easily top 10 then. If that's the premise, easily top 10.
If it's any player, he's nowhere near the top 10.
No, he's top
And
50.
And that's it for me, Chris. And that's why
Yeah.
that's why he's not anywhere near it.
If
for
I'm
me
going to
either.
put him in his, if we're going to go by positions, then easily I'll even say top 5. Yeah, but if you're going to put it by overall players, which I don't think is quite fair, then he don't make that top 10. There is 10 to 15 to 20 players that I can name that was better than Son, but I don't think it's fair to rate an inside forward or winger, whatever you want to call him, and compare him to Kyle Walker or compare him to Ledley King. This is where you lose a bit of order in it as such. But if you're going to go by wingers, whatever, or inside forwards, I'd say he's in the top 5 we've had in the Premier League. Personal opinion.
Oh, yeah, top 5 wingers, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But that's how I have to rate him. I cannot rate him compared to Ledley King or Kyle Walker because it's just a whole different thing.
Can I just throw a random one then? Is he better than Darren Anderton?
Yes. Oh, what? Oh, Weetabix
Footballer,
knees.
no. Footballer, no.
Not as a footballer.
Because if you're saying top 5 wingers, so he's not better than Bale, right? He's not a better player.
No,
than
he's not a patch on Bale. No, he's not.
Exactly. So
I don't think he was a patch on Ginola either. But again,
exactly. So if you're going to put Anderton third, possibly, then where is he coming, Son?
This sick note about Anderson, he played over 300 games. It's like
I know, yeah, he played a
it's
lot.
as if he's played like 8 games for us. Like he played a ridiculous amount.
Until Lloris beat him. He had the most Premier League appearances for Tottenham of any player.
Just crazy.
So good on the ball. So good on the ball.
Underrated, by the way. Massive.
Yeah.
But again, 2 different players. Anderton was actually an old school winger. This is what I kept telling you. Son is never, ever been a winger. He couldn't pass too great. He couldn't cross. He was an inside forward. That is what he was elite at. Get cutting in and being able to score with both feet in the box, out the box, long, short. He was never, ever a winger.
Yeah, but I think what you've just said there is exactly why he's not world class. You've just gave us 10 reasons why he can't play out wide or up front, but he's a good finisher.
All along. James,
yeah,
that's
no,
what
I
I've
know.
said all along. World class
for
finisher.
somebody that's a good finisher.
And that is why I say he is not a world class player for me because he's
overall
ability.
For somebody that's a good finisher.
If he was a world class player, him losing a touch of speed and not having that great strength wouldn't be an issue.
Well,
it wouldn't be an issue. He'd adapt. Well, you look how many players adapt. Look at when Rooney started to lose that power.
Harry Kane.
The difference is on that.
Okay. Go on. No, it's all right. Go on.
The difference is on that. I mean, I've said this to you many a times and others. The players that rely on their speed so much, and it's a massive, massive part of their game, when they start losing that speed, they start losing their career because they rely on it so much. And the perfect one I'll give to that is Michael Owen. Before he lost his speed, he was, whether people liked him or not, he was a deadly little striker. And then he lost his pace through the injury and that, and then he was like a shadow of the striker he was. This is why players like Teddy Sheringham and Rooney and that last for a lot longer because they're not just out and out players that rely on their speed. This is why Harry Kane, as long as he don't get injured, probably still play to his 38. Lewandowski, look how he plays, and he was never one who relied on his speed either. But when you're a player who relies on speed and you lose a yard, maybe 2, I think Kane's lost about a yard on his pace, it shows up so much because they rely on it so much. And that is why their careers, in my opinion, end quicker. Whereas with a slow player who has to use his brain more, like Sheringham, because he has to get into places, because I could probably jog faster than Sheringham could run. That is why they last much longer.
I agree with Savva here, unfortunately. I think a world-class player could play multiple positions and still stand out if they're world-class. Kane did it. Rooney did. I mean, Messi used to be a flying winger. Now he's almost dropped into like an advanced midfielder. And I'm not comparing, but when you're when you are a world-class footballer, you can afford to lose an attribute and still have the brain, the technique, the finishing, or something to get you by. Son's lost one thing. And he can only play in one position, and he's only world class at one thing, and yet we want to put him in a world class bracket. It doesn't make sense.
No, I didn't put him in a world class bracket.
I agree. Him losing his pace shouldn't suddenly mean that
he can't play football.
Drop off of him on a football pitch is what we've seen.
Yeah.
Because you watch him now. He's very basic now, isn't he? Gets the ball. If he can't beat his man, stops 5 yards, cuts inside. For me, I would have liked to have seen him, if he is a world-class footballer, start dictating the game from other areas of the pitch.
Like Salah.
Like if you look at Salah, Salah, again, even then, I don't think Salah's technically the greatest footballer I've ever seen. I think he's okay technically, but his goals the numbers are ridiculous. But that for me is what makes him not world class, is that the moment that he stopped being able to scare the shit out of defenders, I don't really see any standout quality to him. That's not knocking him.
No,
knocking him.
My question for you, mate, is you said that he's a basic footballer now. Was he not a basic footballer before? Because if you took away his finishing, I think this is where I kind of stand with Chris. If you took away that finishing and that speed, he was very basic in what he did. Cut in, whack. Like it was.
Wasn't he? That's the point, James. He was so
he was
explosive.
never
Exactly. He had fear factor. He had. And I think that's why I know I'm comfortable with him going, because the fear factor's gone. It's not that he doesn't still contribute a few goals and assists. And the fear factor's gone. He never gets on the ball, and fullbacks look comfortable with him. When he's running at fullbacks now, they take the ball off him quite easily. They look, and that's how you know, you go, it's okay to move on. That's why I don't understand why so many are so shocked this morning. We knew, didn't we all know he was going? Isn't everyone like geared up for this moment? Aren't we? Like, I woke up. I was pretty pleased, because I think it means we can move. We can move on. We can see something different. And isn't that what?
I think part of it was shocking, because people thought that this news would probably come out after the career tour. It wouldn't be like now. So I think I woke up and I was like, "What? Wait, what would you mean? What have I missed? How is that the case?" Because I thought it would. It's weird that they've made the announcement before the game. I suppose it's to make sure that people are aware as he goes and plays his last game, I guess. But it just seems a weird time. But yeah, I think most people kind of said that obviously he's not the star player he was. So, and it was perfect for all parties in my eyes. As I said, I think for the club, it's perfect that he goes. It frees up the wages, and hopefully we're getting him what looks to be 15-20 million to go elsewhere. It's perfect for the player. He's just won a trophy. He's not going to impact his legacy anymore. And then obviously we can recoup it and go elsewhere. So I think it works for everyone. I think it's perfect timing.
I think it's a good thing. Like I've said to you for the last 2 years, I'm so happy that he's gone, but in a celebration of way, as he's leaving a legend. Hugo Lloris, for me, whether he's a legend or not, the last 2-3 years killed it. Like everyone was like, God, we've got to get rid now. Like, and you saw it more. I said Son should have gone last season. The end of this season, the Son should have gone tripled, quadrupled, maybe more. After next season, it would have done the same thing again, and everyone would have been going, "Why have we still kept him? Why is he still here?"
He's for me, the perfect chance.
Celebration. He's won the cup. Thank you so much for the 10 years you've given us. Absolute legend. Enjoy your MLS football. Go and meet up with Hugo. Score bundles of goals, mate. I'm well happy for you.
I agree. He has had that chance that a lot of players didn't, and that is to get the mud off the back. Like you said with Lloris, like I said earlier, we are always going to remember Lloris as he should have gone 3 seasons earlier, in my opinion. Whereas Son, I would have said that up until he won that cup. But now that he's won that cup, I can sort of just shake that bit off and say, do you know what? We got the cup with him, whether he was a major part of it or not. Son left on a high, which a lot of players don't actually get that chance to do that as such. So fair play to him. Good luck to him. I believe he was a legend at the club. I'd say 90% of people do. Now it's time to move on. Now we need to stop being Spurs supporters in that way and being so bloody sentimental and so bloody nice and everything and that. Get on with it. You want to get to the top, then stop moaning that a player who sadly, lovely fella, is on the way down, that he's going, and we need to carry on. You can't just stick with one thing forever and then complain that we ain't improving.
Can I just bring something up that no one's actually mentioned yet? You know, and this is slightly going back to the whole where do you rank Sonny in Spurs' Premier League history. He's our 4th top goal scorer in Premier League history, and he is our number 1 assister in Premier League history. And no one spoke about that just to be. I had to double check to make sure I was right.
When you expect that? He's played a decade. He's played a
It's
decade.
still very
for us.
impressive, though, Sav. I don't think you can take away from that, though. Surely.
No. Right, hang on, Ben. We've got to stop doing this. You're doing what the people in the chat do. Just because I point out he's been here a decade doesn't mean I'm taking anything away from it.
No,
But what
I'm
saying is
aware. I'm just saying.
when we keep putting these stats up, I expect these stats that he's got for a player who's played for a decade. I expect that. I don't know what. Like, listen, he's got good stats.
Because you've got to be a very good player to achieve that.
But we've said that. We said he's elite. We said we've all agreed that he's an elite player.
He's a top player. Sonny has been a top player for Tottenham Hotspur. I don't know what people are hearing. I think this microphone says something different when I say it to what comes out. Sonny's been a top player for Tottenham for a decade. Yeah. Unfortunately, he's not what he was, and that's due to age. Yeah. His game hasn't developed as he's got older. So unfortunately, now you're starting to see that you've now got a player that if we signed this version of Son, people would lose their mind, wouldn't they? Let's put it like that. If Tottenham went out right now and signed this version of Son, people would lose their minds and we'd all be going, oh, that guy's washed, that guy's finished. I say thank you. What a brilliant player you've been for Tottenham Hotspur. Great, as someone said earlier, seems like a great guy, legend of the club. Thank you for Bilbao. Thank you for lifting the cup. Thank you for what. But now everyone's got to. I think now we'll move into the part of the show where what are we going to do about it now? Because people will.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going
to say 10 minutes ago he didn't make your top 10 for Premier League players at Spurs.
Damn right.
But with those stats.
But again, Ben, that's like saying if Jermaine Defoe had been here for as many years as Son, I would expect him to have better numbers. Do you know what I mean? That's like saying if Berbatov had been here for that long, he would have had better numbers. If we're purely going to go by stats, then more often than not, the people with the longevity are going to win it, right? But for me, individually, Ben, there's much better players I've seen in the Premier League era than Son. Right? Just as a handful. Rafa van der Vaart, right? Rafa van der Vaart, much better footballer. David Ginola, much better footballer. Klinsmann, Sheringham. I can look at the likes of Luka Modric, Moussa Dembele. Yeah, Michael Carrick. The one, isn't it? Right? King. Michael Carrick. Carl Walker was absolutely
Christian Eriksen.
Right? Eriksen, Vertonghen, Alderweireld. There are loads of players that I prefer to Son, but they weren't here for a decade. So it's, I could go back as far as you want with this as well. So Gary Mabbott. Yeah, Gary Mabbott's another one. We've had some top footballers. So I don't know why everyone gets so upset if I don't put him in my top 10. We've had some great footballers.
No, I understand it. I just, it's the whole numbers thing. I don't know.
Was he better than
for
Robbie
me,
Keane?
it's a surprise. Huh?
Is he a better player than Robbie Keane?
Yeah, for me, yeah.
But
two different I don't think ability-wise he touches Robbie Keane.
Ben, I get what you're saying, but if you go solely on numbers, you are saying that he's better than Bale. Like that's if Bale was here.
Yeah,
for
I
10
understand
years,
that.
You know what I mean?
So
there has to be some sort of like a playoff there, because otherwise, if you have a player for 15 years, he has to be the best player because he's probably going to score the most goals, etc.
Yeah,
so I know what you're saying. The numbers are astonishing, but the longevity is
on the flip side. I completely agree with that. On the flip side, you do, as we all agree, you do have to be a bloody good player to play for that long in the first team at Tottenham.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But the thing is, Chris, no one said he's not a bloody good player. I think what's happened here is because the term world class is getting thrown around, people think if you say he's not world class, that you don't think he's a top footballer.
That you're disrespecting him.
Yeah.
To be called an elite footballer or a quality footballer, whatever, it's a compliment. Just because I haven't put him on the same bloody level as other players out there I've seen in the world, it doesn't mean I'm bloody insulting him or got a problem with him. It's just some people are better than others. Son has been an elite player for Spurs. He has given us his all. He is a legend. He was a world-class finisher, in my opinion. But as an overall player, there has been significantly better.
So am I the only idiot? on the whole panel that thinks he's in his prime, he was world class. I think I am the only one, right?
Man, you're not an idiot. Everyone's entitled to their own
I don't think
opinion.
anyone's
There's
an
no
idiot.
such thing as being an idiot. There's certain things, like for me, I would say Dele Alli was one of the most gifted players I've seen. But that doesn't mean that he's world class or what. It's just an opinion. No one's an
You're
idiot.
entitled to it. And
No, you know what I mean.
finishing, he was world class. I don't think I've seen many better players in football as a whole who was just as good with their left foot as they were their right footers finishing. It's usually 20 on one foot, 17 on the other, whereas Son was like 20 on one, 19 on the other. He was a world class finisher when it came down to the crunch when he had the chance. But as an overall player, I've seen significantly better.
Well, let's move on to let's move on. Let's move on to the simple question is going to be now: what does Spurs do as a club? They would have known this is coming, right? This should not have been a shock to Tottenham Hotspur. They would know. They would have known this is coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would have known. So the question I'm going to ask you is twofold. One, do we need to replace him? Or two, is Tell already the replacement? And
Tell's
if that
already
is
the
the case-
replacement.
and hang on, if that is the case, how disappointed would you guys be?
Tell is the replacement as far as I'm concerned. I think he's just got it written all over it. I think they're hoping to get Tell in, build him up, what some say is potential. Not that I've seen nothing of him personally. Maybe he has got potential. Time will tell. If Thomas Frank is that good, he will get something out of him. But I personally believe Spurs have bought him as the replacement to build him up. Do I agree that he is the replacement that we need? Not a chance in hell. But I believe that Spurs have got Tell as the replacement. Simple as that for me.
I'm hopeful from the pre-season that it's such a small sample size, but from watching the Arsenal game that Frank doesn't see Tell as a winger. I think he probably sees him as a strong. I mean, I think Tell from what I've seen is equally useless in all the positions we've played him. The way I'd answer those questions, Savva, do we need to replace Son? Absolutely. Do I think we will? Probably not.
It's worrying, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because what will happen is if we don't replace him, people will go, shouldn't have let Son go. But for me, that shouldn't be the debate. The debate shouldn't be about Sonny going. The debate should be about Spurs be a proper club now. Sonny's gone. Go and get a ready-made player that starts on that left-hand side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm convinced.
I think that they won't. I don't think Daniel Levy has not the balls, but I think if he doesn't replace Son, I think again it's one of those Son cults will come after him, and I don't think he wants that pressure. And Tell's not good enough, man. I've seen more from Odebert than I have Tell, if I'm being brutally honest.
I saw more from Werner, if I'm going to be bloody honest, at beating his man on the ball. I mean, if Werner could have actually,
that's true.
If Werner could actually finish, I think he would have been a bloody good player, because he was about our only one in the past season that could actually take his man on and beat him. It's just, could he actually do anything else? No, he bloody couldn't. If he could pass, cross, or shoot, he was the only one we had that could actually beat someone, and that just shows how shocking that we were in those positions. But I do think Spurs are going to try and use Tell as the replacement. I hope I'm wrong. I pray I'm wrong.
I have a gut feeling something massive is going to happen towards the end of the season. The end of the transfer window. I have no idea why. I have a huge gut feeling we are going to get someone absolutely huge for that left wing. I've got a name, but I'm not going to say it. But I've got a Right, don't laugh. I've got a funny. You lot are just going to absolutely dismiss this, and I don't even blame you. But I have a gut feeling, because it reminds me of maybe a Van der Vaart situation, because it is quite similar. Rodrigo. I've got a really funny feeling, and it's just a gut feeling that might happen.
Rodrigo's not touching Tottenham Hotspur in a million years, mate.
Look, would you have said the same about Van der Vaart?
Very true.
Van der Vaart.
No.
Hang on. No, not true. Hang on. No, not true. Van der Vaart was not wanted by Real Madrid and wasn't getting game time. right? Rodrigo is in their first 11, right? And has a 90 million euro price tag. So this isn't the same thing as Van der Vaart in any way, shape, or form. This is one of the best wingers in world football currently who is in their team. This is very, very different to a guy that they're actively happy to let go for very, very cheap.
Fair points, totally fair points. I'll agree with you on that. But would anyone have actually sat there at that time and said Van der Vaart would have come to Spurs?
Exactly.
I don't think many people would.
But I
think
think
nearly everyone I know was absolutely gobsmacked. Yeah, but
I've just got a funny feeling
I
about it.
totally agree. I'm totally agreeing with that. Yeah. But on that day when we all of a sudden, out of nowhere, got Van der Vaart, how many people actually, if you would have put it 2 weeks earlier, would have said, okay, he's not so wanted. Spurs could get him. Me personally, never in a million years.
On a day. Redknapp had no idea. Redknapp left the training ground and everything. He said, "No, we're all chopped up and done, mate."
Yeah,
all finished,
I was shocked that we got Van der Vaart because I feel there was other teams that he could have quite easily gone to, but they obviously didn't go for him. I must admit, I was bloody shocked when we got for him.
There's a difference between an opportunistic 11 million bid for a player that's not wanted on deadline day and a player that's worth 90 million quid. There's a huge difference. Like this is. If he signs, I'll sit here. I'll come back to this and go, bloody hell, you were right. This man's got suitors, and the suitors that he's got are the top football clubs. This guy's got.
Yeah, but they've all spent a lot of money. A lot of money. So
yeah,
maybe.
Okay, two things. I'll ask you these two questions, Ben, and you tell me if you want to change your answer at the end of what you just said. One, are Tottenham going to drop 90 million euros on a player?
Probably not.
Okay, yeah. Two, is Rodrigo, of all the clubs in world football right now, going to take the step from Real Madrid to Tottenham? Isn't that like saying his career's over in a funny kind of way?
Okay, now give us more credit than that.
No. But I mean, no. But we're talking about somebody. We're talking about a Brazil international who plays week in, week out for Real Madrid. That is saying that you're going backwards in your career. That's not me knocking Spurs. You're going backwards in your career.
Yeah.
Savva, I don't know if you know. Do you know how much he's on wages wise as well? Do you know what he's on?
For you. I can find.
Because I think that would also.
I mean, there are talks of him being unsettled at Real Madrid. You know, that's been circulating for a little while now. I see it all the time.
Yeah, but I think the difference is unsettled at Real Madrid means you can still go to Liverpool. You could still go to a City. You could still go to an Arsenal.
These teams have spent a hell of a lot of money. I mean, I'd say Arsenal wouldn't be able to stump up the cash right now, the amount that they've spent. And Liverpool, I'd be shocked if they could spend another bloody penny. Jesus.
He would be, in terms of, forget about money, in terms of name, he would be the biggest signing since Klinsmann. So that means he's the biggest signing of the era. So that means that Levy's never done that sort of deal, in my eyes.
Yeah.
I'm not talking money. Money's a different sort of level. I'm talking about the level of player.
It's just a weird little gut feeling I've got. Like I said, I know it's laughable. I'm not stupid, but I just have a weird gut feeling that something huge is coming, and I don't know why.
From no replacements to Rodrigo. I just love football.
I mean, look, listen. All I'm saying is, it's a year of new things. I mean, technically, we went and bought a £60 million player in Kudus, and then went and slapped another bid down for Morgan Gibbs-White. I mean, who would have thought we'd ever? We've never in our history done anything like that.
No, but I think that's exactly the point. We've never done anything like that in our history. Rodrigo's actually going that level above. So you're not only asking us to go and do something we've never done in history, you're asking us to then take another couple of steps above that and go above that. For me, there's no chance. And to be honest, not that I wouldn't want him. I'd almost think that he would join coming like I'm too good for this club and then want to leave after a season or two as well. So that's not me saying technically or ability I don't want him, because I do. But I think when somebody's that good and they're coming to Tottenham who finished 17th last season, I think it won't be long before he goes, I need to leave.
You know the funny thing about Rodrigo, his output for Real Madrid actually isn't that good, by the way. You go look up.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be, does it?
No, I suppose.
That's probably one of the reasons why there is a potential that he leaves. It's not based on ability. It's not that he's not good enough for that squad. It's the fact that he's not the main guy, because you've got Mbappe who strolls around the pitch and does what he likes. You've obviously Bellingham was playing through the middle, and so there's a lot of caveats to it. But Yeah, I mean, if we go and get him, then a lot of the fan base have to stay quiet for a while. Let's just put it that way, because that would
Oh,
be,
goodness, yes.
that would
And
be
I think there's going
ridiculous.
to be people that are going to have to sit there and say, "Fair play, Levy."
No,
Oh, no,
he's
sorry,
done it.
Levy.
Oh no, he's done it. Oh no, he said it. That's it. Chat's gonna go mad.
Well, if we went and got him, yeah, anyone who will sit here. I mean, first off, Levy was nothing to do with anything. It was the other fella. Then it screwed up with
it would be
Morgan Gibbs White, and then Levy was the problem again. So if we go and sign this, and anyone, no one has got the right to then sit there and not say fair play, Levy. But let's not make this about Levy.
I have a different view. I like Tell. I don't know what it is. I just like something about him, but there's no way he's your starting left winger. I think he's got
Is it
potential.
the way he runs?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm not going to sit here and
No
try
one-
and defend it.
have
Don't
you
start.
noticed?
Don't ask me loads of questions. I
No
know what you're going
one-
to say.
No
can say
one who
what
says
his
they like
attributes are.
Tell can actually give you a reason as to what he does.
why. Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I just think that he, under Frank, I think he will be able to be closer to the goal. I think he'll be more of an inside forward. I think, but again, it doesn't matter. He cannot be your starting left winger, especially if you're losing a club captain. And you need to go out and sign someone for me. And they've got the 60 million they've not spent on Gibbs White, 20 million coming in for Son, or 15 million coming in for Son. I think they need to get someone in through the door, but I don't think they will.
I have a question. Have you seen more from Tell than you have Odegaard, or have you seen more from Odegaard than you have Tell?
I think Odegaard's got something in him as well. I think both of them, if they hit some consistency, if the team's better around them in terms of the shape, then I think both of them have got certain attributes that mean that they could end up being decent wingers in the league. But unfortunately, and there's quite a few of these, I think we've got a lot of number twos, i.e. should be the players coming off the bench and trying to impact things as opposed to being a starter. And I think that's the problem at Spurs.
Yeah, I think Odegaard makes Tell looks like an even worse signing, because I think I personally have seen more from Odegaard than I have Tell. So the fact that we've gone and slapped 40 million on him, including the loan fee, when he's not as good as a player that we've already got in the squad who isn't good enough for us anyway, makes it just a laughing stock.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong at all. I can completely see that. I think both of them, you should have one of them coming on the pitch, as I say, being like 30 minutes, whatever, and learning. But then the other part to that again, and I think it's a problem throughout the squad, is that if you're a young player looking to learn, you want to learn against someone who's experienced, who's at the top of their game. How many wingers do we have? We're selling Son because he's not at the top of his game at this moment in time.
Like Archie Gray came with Paulinia now.
Exactly. So I think we should have a top winger that these wingers can learn from, and then that will elevate them.
I think Odegaard, when I've seen him play, again, no, not for me, but I think he's actually looked better on the ball. One thing I can say about Odegaard, I think when I've seen him on the ball, I can see a bit of a player there.
He's had moments where his Tell hasn't, basically.
Yeah, but with Odegaard, it's just been when he's on the ball. When it came to the pass, the shot, the bloody cross or whatever, like I saw absolutely nothing. But on the ball, I think he's actually got a bit of ball control. But when I look at Tell, I've seen nothing. I mean, even when he scored the bloody goal, he didn't even know it went in the net because he bounced off him, for God's sake. I have seen, and we basically sold Harry Kane for 50 million and Tell. That is what we have gone and done.
The interesting thing for me is, like, even with Odegaard, I gonna disagree. Every time I watch this guy play, it feels like the move ends when Odegaard gets the ball. He doesn't score, he doesn't assist, and it just feels like, again, I don't know. I can't believe we bought both. If I'm brutally honest, I can't believe that after buying Odegaard in last summer, that we've gone and bought Tell. I don't feel there's a need for both of them at the football club.
I actually think
I do think they're both lazy.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
Go on, you're right. Go on.
I think the only thing like what we're saying there about like people learning off people, and I'm not comparing them and saying that they're as good as each other, but I think Odegaard is a similar player to Kudos, nowhere near as good, but wants to beat his man all the time, wants to try the tricks. So I think that Odegaard could probably learn off of Kudos. I just don't see what Tell brings. You don't beat his man, you don't score, you don't dribble. I struggle to see what Tell has, whereas at least Odegaard, even though there is no end product, I go, I could see what you tried there. You couldn't do it, but I see what you tried. Whereas Tell, there's just nothing.
Yeah, I have seen nothing of Tell whatsoever. I mean, I can only go by what I saw for 6 months, and people say you shouldn't judge them over. Well, I can only judge by what I see. That is why I'm not bloody religious. I go by what I see, and how he even got into Bayern Munich's bloody academy, I just will never know or whatever. I have seen absolutely nothing off of him whatsoever. At least, like you said with Odegaard, I haven't seen much of him, but I've seen him try. And the little times on the ball, I've seen a bit of ball control there, but that's nothing. What are we doing with either of their players, let alone both of them?
I just think we need better, right? Like, let's call it what it is, right? None of the clubs that we're chasing have players of that level in their team. Let's call it for what it is, right?
Yeah.
When we watched the other day, I think this is why I said I'd like a player like Jack Grealish. By the way. My pet hate is wingers that give the ball away nearly every time they get it, because all it means is you're coming straight back under pressure. And what you saw the other day, when Kudus gets the ball, he's strong. Yeah, he holds off players for fun. The ball doesn't bounce back. When Odegaard was getting the ball, it was coming straight back because he has not got that strength and that ability to do that. Now, people go, oh, he's young, but he's not that young. Like he's what, 21 in a couple of months or whatever. Like he's not young that he shouldn't have this in his game already. I just don't know. I don't know who scouted that player and went, that's the best we can get for 30 million across Europe. And then went and scouted Tell and said, that's the best we can get for 40, 45 million. That's my immediate concern. And that's why I think we've got to. James, thanks, mate. I know if you've got to go. Appreciate it, mate.
Yeah, boys. Cheers, boys.
Cheers, bro. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, James. Appreciated. That's why for me, guys, we have to get another. We have to replace him. It's too easy to not replace him. It's just such a poor excuse that we bought Tell. For me,
instead of getting both of them, we should have gone and spent 70 million on a bloody player.
Absolutely.
If there's any truth at all in all the stuff we've heard about funding and all of this stuff that's gone on, we've got investment coming in, then surely we would go out and buy a player.
You'd hope so.
And also the fee that a lot of people are going MLS, it's going to be 5 million. That's it. The fee reportedly is like 15 million. On top of the Morgan Gibbs White money, that's 75 million there before you've sold anyone or anything like that. Yeah. So there is no excuse. The only way there can be an excuse is if he goes and spends a ridiculous amount of money on, say, another central midfielder and decides that left wing is not the one that we want to focus on, the priority, if you like. But for me, I think that has to be the priority now. I think Grealish on loan is one that I would certainly be looking at.
I just raise a question for you guys, just interested in your view. It's neither here nor there, but on what Savva just put up about the deal could be concluded quickly for Son. Do we not think it might be nice if he just hung around like for the first home game? He doesn't have to move before the end of August, right? I just wonder how
get him out.
Yeah, do
have to play though.
Harry Kane did.
Just turn up and take the adulation.
Do what Harry Kane did. Do a friendly or something and that, or go to the South Korea games, finish them at his own place or whatever. Yeah, it'd be nice to him to have a friendly at Spurs to say goodbye. Don't get me wrong, but let him do his thing in South Korea. And if it's Saudi that's gone out for him, then fair bloody play to him because he's going to own a packet out there.
I'm more ruthless than that. And if Spurs, if this guy's going to go, let him have his farewell. The game in South Korea, I think it's fitting that his last game for Spurs would be in his home country. Yeah. Let him go, get the money in, and let's act like a proper club. Let's act like a proper club and go and get a player in. I think we're looking at it far too emotional again. Far too. Listen, that maybe I'm being harsh, but right now I care about Tottenham next season. Right?
Yes.
That's the point. We should be going and bringing in a player. Get the ones out that you want out. Get new players in and let them settle. I don't see him, because then what we're doing is saying, okay, let him play a bit of Burnley. So now we've got a guy that we know is not going to be here, and we're factoring him in playing against Burnley. It just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me with that.
He can come and wave at half time.
Yeah. If he has a friendly when we get back and we have a friendly for him, basically, like we did Kane, I've got no problem with that. But no way does he start for that season. Not a chance. That's just being stupid because then you could have spent that money on elsewhere. I haven't personally got a problem if we had a friendly before the season for him.
Mind you, is there still a question now? Like right now, is he a better player than Odegaard and Tell? Like, who would you pick on the left if we had a game today?
I wouldn't pick. Son's going to play tomorrow, right? Because it's in South Korea, right? After that, he should be nowhere near this team. He's not part of the plans. I know he's better than Odegaard and Tell, but he's not part of the plans. It serves no purpose to have a player who's not going to be here next season playing games of football for Tottenham. I don't know how that helps Thomas Frank either.
No, I mean, a short-term thing for those games, wouldn't it, to get the results? But
yeah, but also for him, for Son, that might not even be what he wants in terms of his last game right now is the pre-season in his home country, playing for the club that he's going to have all supporters for anyway. So he's kind of saying his goodbye that way as well. So I know what you're saying, and I think maybe if it was a closer time, but you're waiting. We've still got to play. We've got to go and play PSG and all of that. I think it disrupts too much. I think he'll be gone. And then also it'd be an excuse for Spurs to not spend money because we go, but the deal ain't been done yet, and we're still waiting on the money.
I agree with all of you, but in a fairy tale world, it would be really nice to see Son leave at a home game to thunderous applause and that nice one Sonny charm. That would be a lovely thing.
In a friendly,
he can't start next season. But if there was an ideal way for him to go out, for me, that would be it. Because I feel like what he's done for the club, I feel like he deserved that. But yes, I agree with Savva. He can't.
Realistically, hasn't he had better than that? Hasn't he gone out in Bilbao? Like realistically, let's be fair, he's gone out in Bilbao lifting a cup to 30,000 people losing their minds. Right?
I just think at home, though, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it'd be nice. I am with you.
Emotion in me, mate. I've not got that emotion in me. No, I'm. Listen, if the deal's going to be concluded, let him play tomorrow. See you later. Thank you for everything you've done. Yeah. Now can we worry about Tottenham Hotspur and not a player getting a wave? And I'm sorry,
no, it's fine. I mean, little side fact by the way, LAFC, he would be their record signing of all time at 15 million.
Yeah,
not the highest.
He's going to.
That's crazy. 15 million.
Well, yeah, but they're going to pay £15 million for him, right? So if we look at this. It's going to be £15 million, give or take. Personal terms close to being finalised. We wanted 30 if he went to Saudi. The deal's going to conclude quickly. When you think about it, right, he's moving to one of the most populated areas in the world of South Koreans in LA. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they're going to make that £15 million back very quick
within the hour.
Yeah,
I didn't know this, but apparently the way that it works when they're signing major stars like this is that the club don't actually put up all the fee. Apparently, the MLS as a league will also contribute, and so will the league sponsors, because as a whole, it will increase the revenue of the league. So apparently, for deals like Messi and things like that, the club stomp up like 50%, and the league and other sponsorships stomp up more. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's what I read.
No, that's America. That's the way America works. They want to be the best at everything, and if they have to pay for a club to do something, America will do it itself, just like Spain does for Real Madrid at times. Yeah, I personally think even if we sold him for 40, 50 million, wherever he goes, they're going to make that back in the day. Like they did with, there's only two players there's ever been that can really draw more money into a club than Son, and that is Messi and Ronaldo. Son is the third best at bringing that money into a club. Wherever he goes, they're going to make that money back that day.
You're essentially buying it. You're bringing a country with him, really, isn't he?
Exactly my point.
Their stadium's only 33,000, so that's going to be a problem.
I assume everyone knows who LA's goalkeeper is, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just
that'd be nice little reunion.
Listen, I'm happy for him. I think the fact he's going out there, I think that shows where he's at in his career. If we're honest, not in a bad way, but I don't see him as a top Premier League player anymore. That doesn't mean, by the way, I think Tell or Odegaard or Johnson are better than him, but I want better than them. But I just think this feels right. That's why I'm not upset.
Yeah.
I'm not mad. I wanted him to go from the point of view that I want Spurs to act. I want us to move players on. I want us to. We never seem to move players on. So I think this is a good thing.
I also think you rounded it off nicely earlier when you said in terms of if we sign Son now, would fans be like, oh yeah, brilliant? And also, the other way I'd say that as well, and not only just for selling players, for buying players, that we have so much uproar about players we buy and players we sell, but look at these clubs that they end up going to. And you go, well, hang on a minute. If Sonny was a good level player now, then there'll be other top Premier League clubs or even lower Premier League clubs that will be coming in for him for 15, 20 million. There'd be where he's gone to the MLS. So that kind of says just that. Same thing with Josh Keeley. There was uproar. He should be starting for Spurs. He's gone on sign for a League One club. Maybe he's just not ready yet. Maybe we need to, and I think that's sometimes where we need to look at and go, other clubs are not coming in for him. Yeah.
But that's going back to the sentimental side of Spurs again, where we're too bloody nice and we will go and complain over and over again that we buy Oderbirds, that we buy, God forbid I say the name, that we buy Greys, that we buy Tells, that we do this, and that we should be buying better players. But then when we go and buy players like Gray, and we've got younger players as well, well, why aren't we bringing the academy in? Why is Gray playing? He's going to be excellent. But then they're wanting the other bloody side as well. This is again where I say we as the Spurs fans, it is so contradicting half the time that it is unreal. They argue that we want the best and we should be getting the best because we pay the money, the income, everything else. But then when we go and just make a diabolical signing and spend 40 million on someone who hasn't even played at a top level, half the fan base goes and bloody justifies it, but then goes and complains that we haven't gone and bought someone else who's up in the level as such. It's like, what do you want?
Yeah, this is what I mean. I think we need to be, Dan, you and I are on the same page on this. I know we are. And me and Lubo always have this conversation where it's like, I want to sign this youngster. I want to sign that player. I want to sign that player. Okay, but those funds are being taken away from buying top players. Mm-hmm. Like if you look at all let's be fair, whether or not you think they're okay or whatever, if I said to you guys, and hear me out, if I said to you guys, that instead of in the last 3 years, when we've signed Solanke at 60 million, right, Odegaard at 30, Tell now 45 million if you add up the loan fee, right? So now I'm at 130 million here, right? Archie Gray at 40, it's 170 million, right? Yang or whatever Yang costs, probably not a lot at all.
About 5.
If I said to you, we weren't going to sign any of them, right, and instead we were going to go and buy 3 top players for that 170 million, you'd all bite my hand off, wouldn't you? If I said to you, none of those players would be at Tottenham right now, and we go from 5 players down to 3, but those 3 are all going to be at the level of Paulinho, Kudus. They're all going to be at that level rather. You'd bite my hand off, wouldn't you?
That is the way we've argued it. Well, that I've agreed with you on a lot of things, and at times where I don't want to agree, I want to bloody debate with you. But of late, there just isn't much to debate and argue about, because I do see it in the aspect of, well, I want quality, not bloody quantity. And we seem to just do the wrong way round. And okay, if the team's going to be a little bit short, I'd still rather go out and get 2 quality players that walk into that team than go and get 4 players that sort of hang about the team. And then build on that. But now, am I happy with what we got in Paulinho and Kudus? Yes. I said at the start of the season, just being a Spurs supporter, give me 2 good players that walk into that team, I'll be happy. So at the end of the transfer window, I'll be happy enough with what we got. But do I want more? Yes, I do. Seeing as we got Paulinho on loan, I think we should now be looking at getting another very good player who walks into that first team.
Yeah. See, I don't count Paulinho from that aspect, Dan. And what I mean by that is I think he's a brilliant player. I'm glad we've got him. But because it's a loan, that should free up funds. Listen, Morgan Gibbs-White, we had £60 million down on the table.
Yeah.
Right? So Luke's right. If you're getting 15 million come in for Son, you've got that 60 million. I'm not saying you have to go and spend 75, but you can go and get a player. Like even let me talk about this one, guys. Even Wissa. Someone like Wissa who can play from the right, the left, or through the middle. Right, Brentford today have acknowledged that he will be leaving. Right, I'll be gutted if Newcastle get him and we don't. For me, that's just a ready-made player. Yeah, who's going to cost what, 35, 40 max? Like 35, 40 million, knows Thomas Frank, knows the Premier League, scores goals. That for me is a no-brainer. That for me should be right. Get him in. He goes straight in. Whether it's on the left, whether it's up front, he gets in that 11, right? Would anyone take that? Anyone think that should be a deal that we should be doing?
It's the caveat to what's the other options? Is Matoma another option, or? But I'm certainly not against it. I'm certainly think that he would bring something to the team. I wouldn't be spending what they originally wanted in the 50s, but if he can get him done at 35 million, then I think he's, as you've just said, the fact he's worked for Frank and everything else, then definitely I'd be considering that. But going back to the whole youth thing, this is the problem with that sort of aspect and looking at signings, is that it's brilliant bringing in young players, whether you think they're good or not, but they have to have experienced pros to learn from, and we don't have enough of them in our squad. So you're stopping the nurturing happening immediately because you don't have the right players in. You only start signing young players when you've got good experienced pros that they can learn from. So we're kind of counteracting our own sort of idea of how we're going to run a football club, in my eyes.
Ben, I know you've got to go, haven't you, mate?
Sorry, fellas. Listen, so thanks for having me on, mate. Boys, take care. Pleasure. See you soon.
Love that you brought some different point of views. That's brilliant. Apparently it's an echo chamber, but it's not. But look, yeah, I mean, Chris, what do you think about a player like Wissa? I mean, it just feels to me that it's not expensive. He's seasoned, knows Thomas Frank. And let's be brutally honest, Chris. He's going to score more goals than anyone else in that front three if he joins.
I'm on the same page as Luke, really. So, I mean, absolutely, on the face of it, there's no reason not to do it. The only reason is I don't feel like it's our number one priority. I'm not Solanke's biggest fan, but I'd rather, if it literally boils down to we've only got sort of one more player to bring in, I'd rather bring in an 8 or a left winger above a Wissa, probably. Well, probably a left winger all in all, because that's where we're most off it, I think. But just on the player himself, and I mean, would he fit into how we're playing? I mean, surely he would, right? Because we're going to play exactly how they played last season. So from that point of view, it absolutely makes perfect sense. A player who comes in not only improves our team, but helps the rest of the guys because he knows exactly what Thomas Frank wants, right? There's no adapting for him at all. So
couldn't there be a world, Chris, where hang on, let me just show you this. Couldn't there be a world? I'm going to stick him in here where we play something like this. Let me share my screen. So where you've got a Wissa who doesn't necessarily have to hug the left touch line, can be that inside forward. We know he can play across the line, and that allows Spencer or Dogie or whoever is the left back to overlap. Because Kudos, we know, likes to cut in. Isn't there a world in which, I mean, look, that front three, do I want better than Solanke? Yes, but I'm not against that compared to what we've got right now.
I don't know if he's going to play quite like that, though, if they're going to be that narrow. You look at the crosses that they got in last season, right? Brentford, they were right up there. So it depends what Frank wants at the end of the day, doesn't it? That's perfectly viable. I think that's a good team. I am mildly worried that Paulinho's not been announced, but that's just being scarred from previously.
Yeah,
with Spurs.
I get that.
But yeah, it just depends what Frank wants to do, because Vissa's not going to be the guy in that scenario massively getting crosses into the box, is he? So he'd have to play narrow. You get your a bit more width from the fullbacks, I suppose.
But hopefully that is where we can actually use our best crosser of the ball by a million miles, and that is Porro, and actually using what he's bloody there for and what he's good at. Where I've said to the point where in the way Ange was playing, I would have had him up as a right winger. And I'd still like to see him have a go as a right winger, because I look on him as a bit of a nowhere near the quality, but a Gareth Bale sort of thing. Bale wasn't good at defending. He tried, but he wasn't good at it. But getting forward, crossing it, getting in with the shots and everything, and then putting him up as left winger and inside, he was epic. I look on Porro as the same sort of thing, but not obviously the quality. His defending is pretty piss poor, if we're going to be honest.
I'll tell you what would work.
But getting him forward and crossing in and even cutting in at times, and he's got a good shot, he's got a good free kick, he's got a good power on his shot and cross and that. I think it's a no-brainer to go and use him for what he's good at.
I think you can push him forward more as a fullback now, though. If you've got a Palhinha, I'm imagining that Frank will do what most people do with the fullbacks, right? And if one's going up, the other one's not also right up on the left wing, so we'll be more defensively solid. And what would be in that scenario? So I wouldn't play him further forward, but push him up as an attacking fullback. And if he is, I agree with you, he's our best crosser. If he's whipping it in, and you've got a Visser on the back, you've got Solanke in the middle, Visser on the back post, that would be very dangerous, I think. So that system Savva's just put up would work really well with that.
I'm just spitballing, guys. I think the key thing here is, even if Solanke's going to be here, I think we need a different profile of striker alongside that. We need a different, Richarlison and Solanke are both big guys, bruisers, press hard, work hard. I think we need a little bit more of a pacey, diminutive little forward, a Calamundo, a Guessand, a Lookman, a Wissa. I think we need just something that's different, right? Something different.
My worry is that we won't bother unless Richarlison leaves, which I think we'd all be probably in favour of. But I can't see where Richarlison goes is the problem.
I completely agree with you.
Two quick things. I think that I know you've pulled it up so that we can visually see it, but the facts is that he's going to play completely differently in every single game, or he's going to make adjustments in every single game if things ain't working. So today, but also not just that, it's the level of opposition we will be playing. So in 1 week on a Sunday, we could be playing Burnley at home, and on a Wednesday, we could be playing Real Madrid away. So he's going to have different versions of what he's going to want. But I actually think you kind of mentioned it there. I think Porro could be an absolute standout in these tactics on the basis that what we seem to be happening is there seems to be a fullback tucking in and becoming 3 centre backs when we're defending. Now, if Porro does that and the left wing back is the one that goes up with Wissa coming in field more, then it could mean that Porro's long ball ability, like he's like the goal again when Maddison got the penalty, he's got an incredible long pass on him. So if he's got space from deep to be able to pass the ball long, it could be very, very good. And then on the other side, if you've got, say, Spence exactly what you're doing, you then free Porro to become your right winger because Kudus will be coming infield. So both of them sort of tactics, in theory, could end up becoming a positive on Porro's play. So I think that he's going to be superb in this system. And that's why I think Wissa could end up being quite a nice back post sort of thing, as could potentially Richarlison, funnily enough, if he ever gets fit.
And with that, with what you've got on there, and the thing is with Frank, why I think we're all happy to get him is we know he's willing to not just mess about with 1 or 2 things in the team, but he's willing to change a whole formation if he has to, yeah? And he will play with what he is good at. And playing Spence there for the idea that you're putting on here is better than playing a doggy there, as he's a better defender than a doggy. And we haven't even seen what a doggy can do properly at Spurs, because when he was at Udinese, he was so much better as a wing-back going forward and getting the ball in. But he didn't get played like that. And I just, out of that whole team, I think that link up with Porro and Kudus could end up very, very good if used the right way. Because, I mean, I think them two can be a massive, massive part of this team next season, depending on how Frank wants to do it. Obviously, Maddison's got his part in there and everything else and that. But now we actually look like we got some stability in midfield just by having Palhinha. And the whole thing's starting to look just that bit more stable, even though we know we need better on the left, better up front and whatever. But just getting that man in midfield that can boss the midfield, it just helps the situation a lot. But I think Porro can be a massive part of next season.
We should also be getting another player on top of this, by the way, because that 35 million on Wissa is still not the 60, 65 that was on Morgan Gibbs-White. So there's still 30 odd million without player sales that is free with what you've just pulled up on screen. So I think that's another part of it.
What makes all this work is this guy. Because what having this guy allows you to do, sorry, ignore what I'm doing here. What this guy allows to do is if he goes and he goes, he just sits in there, doesn't he? He just sits in there and mops up everything. He just sits in there, mops up everything, breaks it up. And that's what we didn't have last year.
In fairness, that's what Dyer did really well in the early pot systems, right? He did exactly. Can I just share with you guys, just you know, the Arsenal game? I just want to share my single favourite moment of the match. It wasn't Sarr's goal or anything. Do you remember when Arsenal were attacking? I think it was first half, and Romero did that terrible header that went to, was it Martinelli? My favourite thing about it was Porro was there covering a mistake by Romero, and he got back and covered for Romero, blocked the shot, and it went out. I watched that and I thought, oh my God, we've actually got like a fullback in a position where he can cover for a centre back's error. I'm like, it was like, I shouldn't react like this, but it was like the greatest football moment I've seen, or certainly at least for 2 years. It's just so reassuring to see.
Because there was organisation there.
Was this, wasn't it? Last season, it was that.
Yeah, now go and put the 2 centre backs on the halfway line as well.
Right. So last season, you've got this, right? You've got this. These guys were basically in there. These guys are pushed up, right? These guys are tucked in. It was like everything came down here, didn't it? Down the channel.
When we lost the ball, it was like run like mental to get back, right? It was just chaotic and ridiculous. Yeah.
Guys, I'm gonna leave it there if that's all right with everyone. Because I'm back live in about 9 hours for the Newcastle game. And believe it or not, I reckon I'd like some sleep in between that. But yeah, look, we got Newcastle tomorrow. I don't really know what to expect. I've not really watched any of Newcastle in pre-season. But what we do know is they've not got up front at the moment. They've not got anything really other than a youngster in Asula. And we know that they've had a bid rejected tonight, for anyone that doesn't know, for Sesko, which was 70 million euros plus 5. So this is going to rumble on. It's going to be interesting. Guys, thank you very much. I've enjoyed that.
Can I just mention something quickly, please? Tomorrow at 5 o'clock, I've got a big meeting with Kelly, her name is, and that's Harley's mum, who we're going to be doing a charity for. And she's going to come on the show with me for about anything from an hour or two to basically describe her boy, all the problems he's got. And the poor fella has got a lot of problems for a Spurs support. I've been very let down by it. His mum will explain everything on there. And it's who a couple of us hopefully are going to do a charity over a couple of weeks for and everything. And that, if I can get as many people on there to watch the show and get this about for an event going to pull off in hopefully 4 weeks, give or take a week, it'd be much appreciated. And she's coming on at 5 o'clock with me and hopefully her son's going to pop on as well. That depends on how he's feeling, obviously, but she's going to come on and give all the details about her son at 5 o'clock tomorrow.
What we'll do tomorrow, when my great work, Dan, puts everything in perspective, doesn't it? It doesn't really matter who's a legend or who's world class when things like that are happening, does it? No. Look, what I'll do tomorrow then, during as my stream gets to the end, I'll get the link off you to that stream and post it out for everyone to see. So, guys, you all heard him. 5 p.m. tomorrow.
Thanks.
Really good thing. Thanks, Dan. Listen, guys, going to leave it there. I honestly never thought there would be so much backlash to not thinking a player is world class. I've never seen anything like it in my life. But it is what it is, guys. Take care. I've got a super chat. Sorry, I've got a super chat I've not read. Big up to Peemsy. Big up to Peemsy with a picture of what looks like a very miserable looking Big Mac there. It doesn't look like it's got all the. Anyway, big up to you, Peemsy. Really appreciate it.
McDonald's expert, isn't it? McSavva.
The McSavva. Yeah. Do you know what? People must really have not liked my opinion on Son, because I've lost 7 subscribers throughout this show. That's absolutely hilarious.
It's the sentimental side.
Oh, it's so funny. Listen, big up to you all. Take care. Much love. Let's see who's live. I'm gonna send you over to somewhere. Let's see who's live. I always forget to do this. I've got to get better at doing this. Live. Boom, boom, boom. 1 second, people. 1 second. Redirect. I'm doubting there's any Spurs people on. I'm gonna chuck you over to to Sarcasm City to Flawless. So if you haven't, please subscribe to him. Please, when you get over there, say Savva Raid. He's a great content creator, really nice guy. So please do. Much love. Take care. And as always, come on, you Spurs.